capacity of 70 people. As multiple outlets have reported in the last 30 to 45 minutes, everyone is accounted for. All the passengers and the flight crew. 8 injured, 1 viewed as critical, 7 mild to moderate. You do see Jason, because Jason's here with us, snow all throughout the area. Reports of significant winds. This is a jet that I think a lot of people are familiar with. There are regional jets that, as you said earlier, and you're right on, fly under the auspices of a Delta, a United, an American. This is very common practice. At one point, I'm sure as quickly as possible, we do not have that footage yet, but a lot is coming in through cameras at the Toronto airport and Twitter footage, Jason, that foam was used quickly to try to put out whatever flames were taking place or prevent further flames. Part of what is still startling about a story that is absolutely stunning is the amount of people who were just on their own walking out of the plane and felt they had enough time to grab a carry-on and someone on a phone looking back at the plane and explaining to someone, Jason, as he's about 30 to 40 feet from the plane.
Right.
This just does not happen.
No, I mean, everything about it is astonishing, right? And the calmness of people walking away, I guess, what would you expect them to be doing? I guess, you're not going to be probably in any...
Well, I guess it tells you the condition of the plane at that point.
Yeah.
If they were worried something dramatic...
That's right.
...was about to change with the plane, the flames, or anything else, you wouldn't be saying, hold on, Jason, we're flying together. I have to grab my carry-on. Under other scenarios that could have been more perilous, it would be, you need to get off the plane right now and making that point instantly as opposed to grabbing your overhead compartment.
Yeah, and the Flight Attendants Association told CBS News that, again, reports are there are no fatalities, but it is a remarkable sight to see on this, and so many Minnesotans do business in Canada and fly to Toronto. Yep. It's a busy destination, but, just obviously snowy conditions on an airport are something that we are very used to here in the Twin Cities.
Yes.
And they are in Toronto too, right?
Yep.
So to have this happen is, and again, so many questions as to why, but just crazy. It's crazy to see.
It shows it's a reminder to us how safety in flights that we've taken it for granted for so long because of the overwhelming track record that has taken place all across the globe, including our country and including Canada. And I'm already getting the texts blaming Donald Trump and the administration. Neither one of us has ever been shy in offering our opinions, what is legit, what is not legit. Here's how much information we have tying this back to the Trump administration. I'm done. We have nothing. Okay. If it turns out there is a point where there's justifiable criticism towards the Canadian government or the United States government, we will go there. There is absolutely nothing at this point that would provide a direct link to that. So while there is some level of two individuals who fly and people texting and providing a little bit of context, neither one of us has any interest at this point to start pointing fingers at a government entity in the U.S. or Canada when we have no proof to any of that at this point is tied to this crash.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to make their cheap shot, I suppose, but it's a bit of a luxury to be able to do that, knowing that no one was killed in a really scary situation.
Yeah, and let's be honest, a number of people would have provided the cheap shot, even if people were killed. And I'm not saying that concrete facts may not come out and raise questions, but none of those on that area are out at this point. Jason's going to take you home and give you all sorts of information on this story all throughout the afternoon.
If you want jazz music, go to New Orleans. bagels, New York. And for psychics, think California Psychics. You want the best, you go to the best. At California Psychics, home of free spirits and open minds, we know better than anyone what makes a good psychic. That's why we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN's birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. Visit NordVPN and discover the benefits. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Encrypt your online traffic. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN.
All right, we are live at spring training here in Florida with the Minnesota Twins. But Chad, of course, our full attention is focused on this breaking news just within the last hour and a half. It's still astonishing to see these pictures of a Delta flight on its roof, flipped over, complete 180 lengthwise. And so far, reports are no one killed, but possibly 8 people hurt. So we'll continue to cover that. But what an absolutely bizarre development on a day where
completely unexpected.
Completely unexpected, of course, and weather is the focus today. I mean, certainly the snowy weather will be question number one in Toronto, but in the Twin Cities already, the frigid temperatures. So many school districts have called off school for tomorrow, called off all activities, so we'll be all over that as well. We are going to talk some baseball. I hope that's all right.
Sure.
I'm not going to rub it in.
There.
I'm not going to rub it in the temperature down here.
Yeah.
All right.
Just a little. In warmer weather, come on.
It's 80 here right now. I know you and I are we're the worst, aren't we? No comment.
I really can't push back at that right now at this point.
It's just the truth. It's the truth.
Yes.
Thanks to the canopygroup.com.
Jason DeRusha is next on News Talk 830 WCCO KMNB HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Odyssey Station.
News on the hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Peter King, and we have breaking news out of Toronto where there's been a plane crash at Lester Pearson International Airport. Airport officials say it was a Delta Connection flight number 4819, a commuter jet landing after a flight from Minneapolis. Transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
Plane appears to be upside down. The wings and tail ripped off. The nose landing gear still in place. People are being taken off the airplane. Medical crews have responded.
Airport officials say everybody has been accounted for, and a flight attendants union says no fatalities. One report says as many as 8 people were hurt. We're waiting further details on this developing story from Toronto. Donald Trump's cost cutters continue to send layoff notices to government workers. There have been President's Day protests about it around the country.
On this President's Day, the 50-51 movement is holding No King's Day protests in cities like Tampa, Florida.
The people need to speak. They need to be out in the streets. A lot of them are afraid.
Afraid for good reason, she says.
Because we're seeing the authoritarian tendencies of both Trump and Musk.
And this man says it's spelled out in the Constitution.
It says, if the government's wrong, it's our duty to change it.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
With Kentucky trying to recover from the torrential rain and flooding over this past weekend, Governor Andy Beshear is asking people to move cautiously as they clean up. He's also saying be ready for the next storm.
I am worried about the snow coming right on top, and that's why it's really important in these next 2 days especially for everybody to make sure they're in a safe place.
A polar vortex is on the way further north. The National Weather Service predicting dangerously cold wind chills as low as 50 below zero in most of North Dakota. Cindy is a cashier at a truck stop in Bismarck.
Take it easy. Make sure your vehicles are all plugged in and warm and extra clothes and don't go out in the wind if we don't have to.
New York Mayor Eric Adams faces a City Hall earthquake.
4 deputy mayors who met with Adams Friday night at his official residence and spoke to him in a Zoom call over the weekend have quit. Their departure dates haven't been confirmed. They include the first deputy mayor who manages the day-to-day operations of the city. The departures come after criminal charges against Adams were dropped by the Justice Department after Adams' increasing closeness to President Trump. The deputies are reportedly concerned about Adams' apparent decision to help Trump deport undocumented migrants. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
And this is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is breaking news from News Talk 830 WCCO.
I'm Laura Oakes. As we've been hearing on CBS, that breaking news is out of Toronto this afternoon within the past hour involving a Delta Airlines operated regional jet that left Minneapolis late this morning. Chris Van Cleve is transportation reporter for CBS News.
Some federal officials are hearing reports of some injuries here, but again, the airport says everyone is accounted for. There are images trickling out that show this CRJ 900, which is a regional jet. It was operated by Delta's regional carrier Endeavor, but operating as a Delta flight. The plane appears to be upside down, the wings and tail ripped off.
It's not clear how many passengers were on the plane or what the extent of those injuries may be. Weather conditions in Toronto were snowy at the time. We're following this story this afternoon, and we'll have the very latest for you in upcoming newscasts. New York prosecutors have filed murder charges against 5 people in the death of a Minnesota man.
This is by far the worst homicide investigation that our office has ever been a part of.
Ontario County District Attorney Jim Ritz says 24-year-old Sam Nordquist, a transgender man from Minnesota, was tortured and abused for weeks before his death. Nordquist's remains were found in a field on February 13th, about 50 miles southeast of Rochester, New York. 5 people ranging in age from 19 to 38 years old are charged with second-degree murder. Nordquist's mother, Linda, visited upstate New York over the weekend.
They can rot. They are scum. They are evil. I don't know how somebody could be that evil. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but it's some type of hate crime.
Mark Fry, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Investigators say there's no indication Nordquist's murder was a hate crime. Authorities say all 5 suspects are members of the LGBTQ plus community. Candlelight vigils are planned tonight in the Twin Cities. Frostbite, a very real concern when it's this cold, with experts saying it can set into exposed skin within even just 5 minutes, depending on temperature and wind conditions. HCMC Emergency Room Dr. Thomas Masters speaking with WCCO TV.
You can't underestimate how severe it can be and how deadly this weather can potentially be and life-limiting and cause permanent disabilities.
Experts say it's important to dress in layers and cover exposed skin as much as possible. Fingers, toes, ears, and the tip of the nose are most susceptible to frostbite. Lutheran Social Service of Minnesota will cut 27 positions due to an executive order from President Trump that has cut off funding for agencies that help refugees get settled in the United States. Advocates for these groups say refugees who are vetted before arriving and typically contribute to the economy quickly after they arrive have been lumped in with millions of migrants who have crossed the border illegally in recent years. Minnesota Congresswoman Angie Craig joining the list of interested parties in announcing on social media today that she is giving serious consideration to running for the U.S. Senate seat being vacated by Tina Smith next year. And Victoria's Holy Family girls hockey team is headed to the state tournament as one of their coaches continues to recover from a critical brain injury. Jason Jensen fell and hit his head on the ice during practice earlier this month. He was not wearing a helmet. Holy Family coach Randy Keppel speaking with Vanita Sokar on the WCCO Morning News today.
Jason's doing better. I mean, he's got a long, long road ahead of him still. So the prayers and the support are still very, very much needed.
Since Jensen's freak accident, Holy Family coaches and other teams he works for have been wearing helmets during practice. WCCO News Time is 3:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Roads are in pretty good shape. No real issues there. Things are running smoothly as they cruise the system. Had a crash working Cedar South at Old Shakopee Road. Looks like that's been taken care of and cleared out of the way for you. Traffic is light to moderate. Speeds are about right around the posted. 494 westbound. Some slowing Lindale over to France Avenue. 35E northbound flowing very nicely as you come out of downtown St. Paul at 694. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Gutman Law, wills, trusts, and probate law at gutmanlaw.com. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Tomorrow morning will be even colder than this morning. The National Weather Service has an extreme cold warning out. It could feel like 40 to 45 below with any wind. Actual air temperature tonight, 17 below. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high of 2 up to 8 on Wednesday. There's no snow in the forecast. We should hit the 20s by Friday, up into the 30s this weekend.
Right now, we have mostly sunny skies, 4 below, wind chill 23 below at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Updates in real time at the top of every hour. News Talk 830 WCCO. Buckle up. Time for the ride home and the chance to get caught up on the day's news. Plus, whatever else he wants to riff on. This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
And here's the star of the show and your host, Jason DeRusha.
Are you ready? All right.
Now live on your radio and streaming to the world at WCCOradio.com and the Odyssey app. Here's Jason DeRusha.
What is going on when it comes to air travel in this country? Shocking, horrifying pictures out of Toronto. A flight that left Minneapolis St. Paul Airport this morning flipped over. Several people reportedly injured. You heard the latest from Laura from CBS News. We'll continue covering it throughout the afternoon here on Drive Time as we hear more from witnesses. But it is quite something. It is Drive Time. We are coming to you live from Fort Myers, Florida. We are at Hammond Stadium, where the Minnesota Twins had their first day of full team workouts, live batting practice, great stuff going on here in Fort Myers, and we'll have a lot of coverage of it for you from here. We are streaming as well. We are live on YouTube, where you can check us out on the WCCO Radio YouTube channel or on the WCCO Radio Facebook page. But Dan, it's hard not to start with this breaking news from Toronto, because in my life, I have never seen an airplane flipped. This is on its roof. So imagine a plane that almost looked like maybe it did go top to bottom, where like the landing gear hit and just popped over the whole thing. And that who knows exactly how it happened, but that is such a bizarre photo to look at. And knowing that there were 70 some passengers from Minneapolis on that flight. Certainly, we don't know if everyone was from Minneapolis. They could have been just, transferring at our airport. But this is a plane, a Delta plane, that's also operated by a Minneapolis company. Endeavor Air is a regional jet company that flies under the name Delta Connection. And a lot of questions tonight about why was this plane allowed to land right now in Toronto. The current conditions show 23-mile-an-hour winds. So reportedly about 2 hours ago when this plane touched down, the winds were whipping, snow-covered runways. We've all been on the other end of a weather delay for air travel. And I got to say, it often is annoying, right? You're annoyed by it. It's making me late. I don't, why is the weather really that bad? And then here's the situation. Of course, we don't know if it was weather or if it was equipment. But let's be real. It's not just equipment. I'm sorry. Like, there's no equipment failure that causes a plane to just flip. It's got to be a combination of environmental situation and perhaps some sort of issue with equipment. But come on, planes don't just flip over. It just doesn't happen. I've never seen it before. It is perhaps going to come out that this was an incredible job by a pilot dealing with a challenging situation. We just don't know. But the fact that people walked out of this upside down plane and walked away with their purses and their backpacks and whatever, their carry-on bag, the fact that they were able to walk out under their own power, it is simply amazing.
Yeah, we don't know, we don't know exactly what all the details of the story are going to end up being, and we'll find that out, in the coming days. But whatever the details are, they're going to be wild, right? We expected to start the show today talking about weather with the historic cold in Minnesota. We didn't expect that cold weather or whatever weather we were going to be talking about would center around an incident like this, which is, like you said, it's something you've never seen before. You see that picture of that plane lying upside down. It looks like one of the wings has sheared off somehow. There's damage in the tail end of the plane as well. But that video that you shared on Twitter, that I retweeted, of people, literally you physically see them walking out of this plane, and they're on their phones, like they're texting loved ones and letting them know that they're okay. It considering the state of that plane, it is just absolutely wild that so many people seem to have been okay coming out of this thing.
It is interesting, looking at the photo, and obviously, like right now, just like everything in this world, everyone is now an aviation expert, including us, right? Like let's be clear. We have no freaking idea what happened. But when you do look at this plane on its roof, upside down, you see the landing gear at the front, and then in the rear, I don't see any landing gear, and it does look like a wing was sheared off. Now, did that happen upon landing? Did that happen after landing? Did that happen before? Like, who knows? So those are all questions. It'll be the Canadian authorities that'll do that, but it's all of us that have to decide, okay, we know logically that all the stuff that's been going on around air travel, we know that these are all separate things. Right? The helicopter near Washington Reagan Airport, that was where it shouldn't have been, and appears now, as we learned Friday, appears to have had the microphone down on their headsets, so they weren't hearing the full tower advice to get out of the way, to move, to avoid it, to go around it, to go behind it. So that happens. Then the next day you got a plane. Was it the next day or the same night where that plane, the single engine plane, landed in that Philadelphia neighborhood? And then you've got, it's just then to have this where for so long we've had nothing. It is jarring. I'm just saying it's jarring. It's unnerving. And I know logically that these things had nothing to do with each other, but I also am a human being. And you look at these things and your feedback is always welcome. At 651-461-9226. What a great point that one texter says, that this is such a reminder to keep those airplane seatbelts on until you're at the gate.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How many times have you heard the clicks as people take those seatbelts off as you're landing or immediately after landing? What a great point there. But it is unnerving, isn't it?
It is.
It's not going to stop me from flying.
No, we'll still fly home on Saturday just fine, and we won't worry too much about it. And the fact that these incidents have all occurred close together doesn't necessarily, as you correctly pointed out, mean that there's any correlation between them or any kind of connection whatsoever. Of course, this plane's landing in Canada, and I presume that's not the United States FAA that's in charge of those towers in Canada. So that's a completely different operation in terms of the landing of this aircraft. So yeah, there's no reason to think that there's any kind of connection between these things other than, chronologically them happening close together. And sometimes random events happen close together and cluster up like that. So we shouldn't read too much into that, obviously. And as we said all along, we don't know many of the details of this case. They'll be coming out very, very soon. But we talk about it because it's an enormous news story right now, and it affects
centered around Minneapolis. Yeah. We know everything you said is logical, but we're not all 100% logical people. And even though you could have 3 car crashes in one night and no one would say, like, what's going on? What's going on here? Like, you just expect it. We don't expect this because air travel is so safe. So we'll continue to cover this throughout the day. We got lots of show, lots to talk about today. I'll have the newsroom take the lead for us as there are new developments. We'll break in right away. CBS News as they find out more about this Delta plane operated by Endeavor Air, which is headquartered right in the Twin Cities. Endeavor Air, that regional airplane jet. And so it was a CR-90, which in the Delta kind of Endeavor operates flights for other things, but when they're doing a Delta flight, there are about 76 seats on that plane. 8 people, the latest we've seen, injured. 1 critical, but doesn't appear to be life-threatening. So that's the latest. Governor Tim Walz just sharing that he's in touch with Delta, keeping track of all of this, and so are we. We're going to break. When we come back, the new general manager of the Minnesota Twins, what does he look for down here at spring training? Lots of unanswered questions as to what the lineup is going to be, and the Twins have made a lot of moves over the last couple weeks, too, so we'll talk all about that with the general manager of the Minnesota Twins as we continue live from spring training here on Drive Time with DeRusha.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training. Presented by the islands and beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company and sunny Fort Myers.
All right, let's talk about looking your best. Be real. Most guys, we need a little help in this department, right? It's Jason here for my friends, my fashion advisors at J.H. & Sons at the Galleria. The team at J.H. & Sons, the selection is through the roof. Wonderful fabrics, the latest styles. Premium menswear is what they talk about. But what I want to talk about is the premium service you get. It's sort of a rare thing when you go out now, right? You can be left alone or overwhelmed or you don't know what to do. At J.H. & Sons, they will find clothing that fits your style, fits your body, and fits your budget. Spring stuff is in. I was just in last week. Man, it's pretty fun. Like unstructured suit jackets. If you were like in the shacket phase, which I went hardcore on shackets. Now it's unstructured blazers. So they feel good. They're casual, but it just has you looking a little more polished. If you want to get your fashion in order, go visit my experts, Kevin and Bryce, and the whole team at J.H. & Sons at the Galleria. You can sign up for their email list at jhnSons.com.
One 877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Right now, you can get the outdoor furniture you love with 0% financing, but only until February 24th. That means you can start your patio plans today and pay over time with no interest. Why wait? Order now and your furniture will be ready for you when spring arrives. Plus, check out 2 stunning new wood grain colors and dozens of fresh designs so you can make your backyard truly one of a kind. Visit our showrooms in Jordan, Maple Grove, or Woodbury, or shop online at buytheyard.net. Hurry, 0% financing ends February 24th. 0% financing subject to credit approval.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Drive Time with DeRusha is live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
We are live in Fort Myers, and obviously we're all watching the breaking news coming out of Toronto, that Minnesota-based Delta flight that left MSP Airport this morning, right around 11:30 from Minneapolis, was scheduled to leave about 10:30, left an hour late, and flipped over in Toronto. Reports of 8 people injured, one serious, the others relatively minor. But the fact that we saw a video, and we were just sitting here with the new general manager for the Minnesota Twins, looking at the latest video, because look, it's a very relatable scenario. We've all been in on a plane like that. Jeremy Zoll, the new general manager for the Minnesota Twins. Jeremy, it's good to have you with us, but like, we've all been on that sort of flight, right?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, that's really concerning and scary, and I think we've all had, maybe something that was a little unsettling, but to see that always makes sure your heart drop, and thoughts and prayers go out to everyone as they navigate this.
Scary stuff for sure, and we'll continue to update it. I want our listeners to get a chance to know your story a little bit more, because I was on this morning with Adam and Jordana, and they were talking about your very unusual academic. You didn't exactly go to baseball management school in your major, did you?
No, I attended Haverford College. I was an East Asian Studies major, studied Chinese, and then an economics minor. So not super relatable to working in a front office, but a really good experience nonetheless.
I do think people sometimes don't realize how nerdy baseball people are. Like, it's very much a game.
Thank you.
I mean, well, you majored in East Asian studies. Like, the story sort of writes itself, doesn't it? Like, it is the reality of it. What do you think it is? Is it the statistics? Is it the history of it? Is it the logical nature, or the slow, sort of deliberate, all of those factors?
Probably some combination of all those things, but ultimately, baseball, the history and just the amount of things that we can measure and track and compare and contrast, and all of those things really lend itself to so much data analysis that, has really permeated through the game over the last 20 years or so.
Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Massachusetts, but grew up in New Jersey, Ridgewood, New Jersey, outside New York City.
And what was your team as a kid?
I was a Yankees fan growing up. I know that it's tough, for Twins listeners to hear. I was spoiled and fortunate to attend a lot of Yankees playoff games in the 90s during their run, which was my formative run.
You're just rubbing it in, really.
But it's what baked in my passion for baseball. And
look, Twins fans, we have our issues with the Yankees, but the reality is, my kid is a student at NYU, and of course his second team is now the Yankees, and it's hard not to admire the tradition of victory, of excellence. Like, how do you look at that team and that organization? Is there any obviously you wish you had their budget, but are there any lessons of the way that team runs itself that you bring to your job?
First, I think we need to note, I think it's tough to have a favorite team as a Twins, second favorite as the Yankees. I've long left my Yankees fandom behind.
Well, you take it up with a 19-year-old. Do you want him to be a Mets fan? I don't know. Like, what's the better move?
Anyways, I do think the Yankees have done a really nice job, for a long time. And it's, there's a lot of things that are, when you have a bigger payroll, that comes with some benefits. It's also, a challenge to keep making sure that you're really sustaining for a long period of time. And they've done a really good job there doing that.
You have been with the Twins for how long?
Just finished up year 7, going on year 8 now.
And you have had, you're maybe not a name that the fans necessarily knew, but within the front office here, the team has always spoke of you with really a lot of respect. What is it like for you now being in that top job as the general manager?
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, taking the next step, you shift from having like a clear purview, player development, performance team have been my focuses basically my whole time with the organization. And now to, take on additional oversights over, scouting operations through amateur, international, pro, et cetera, and really working with those teams. It just kind of adds extra layers and things to be thinking about. But love our team, love our people, and feel really good about those processes we're putting into place.
Fans, of course, have been, nobody likes how last season ended up. On top of it, the fact that there has been a stated budget focus for the front office. I think a lot of people were surprised over the last week that some of the purse strings, the last couple weeks, the purse strings were opened up a little bit. Tell us about some of these late signings that came in and the fact that some flexibility came in to be able to have some budget.
Yeah, feeling really good about the ability to make the additions we did over the last week or two here, and grateful for the additional resources that came through to be able to make those things happen. But Danny Coulomb was the first domino here, left-handed reliever. Felt like that was a real opportunity for us to stabilize in what we think is going to be a really good bullpen, but to add someone that has proven to be a real weapon from the left side. We think that was a really good add for us. Then Harrison Bader was second. Harrison's been an elite defender, one of the top defenders in all of baseball for the last 5 or 6 years at this point. His ability to play center field and provide that additional layer of depth behind Byron Buxton, something we're really valuing, so that when Byron is either DHing or needs a day off, we feel like we're not missing a beat with his defense. Obviously, Harrison's right-handed, so his ability to complement Matt Wallner and Trevor Larnach if they need a day down against a lefty, or they're DHing, whatever it may be, we think Harrison's going to really round out that outfield group really nicely here. And then lastly, Ty France we added into the mix, right-handed bat.
That's a big deal. That's a big, because the infield has been really a bit of a defensive question mark, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a group that is really versatile and can play a lot of different spots. You're going to see in camp, a number of different guys playing first base, whether it's Eddie Julian or Jose Miranda. But bringing in Ty France was something that we felt like just gave us one more layer of insulation here. Ty's been a proven hitter at various points throughout his career. He'll be the first to tell you he took a step backwards last year, but he feels like he really got back to some foundational elements this offseason. We think he's a really strong bounce back candidate and right-handed bat for us.
Is this more of a trend in baseball to see this sort of players who have the ability, like a Royce Lewis? He can play third, maybe he can play second, maybe, I don't remember having, is this a baseball thing or a Twins thing? You know what I mean? Like, we have so many people who are like, oh, he could play here and here. And I just don't remember that being a standard.
Yeah, I think it's something we're really priding ourselves on and feel like it really helps our team in so many different ways. So when you do have a player go down with injury, you have a lot of different ways to plug those holes. It's definitely a point of emphasis for us within our player development group too, to get guys exposed to as many positions as is feasible or possible. But if you look at the Dodgers as like a prime example, they have a ton of guys who have been really versatile along the way. They acquired Tommy Edman. He's playing short. He's playing center. He's playing other positions. Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, so on. The list goes kind of on and on for that crew. And that positional versatility is a sneaky way to create some additional value out of your roster.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about family. You've got, and your family. I think I met your nephew today.
That's correct.
I was calling Jeremy's nephew questions. He had a lot of questions. There's a certain age where that is the magic, right? It's all good stuff. I have more questions too. We'll talk about the pitching staff. If you have anything on your mind, what do you want to ask the general manager? 651-461-9226. You can text. We're streaming live on YouTube on the WCCO radio channel. You could check us out there. And well, we are still on the radio. Drive Time continuing in a minute.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers. To all the fans who have discovered the voice message feature on the Odyssey app.
Hey, Jason, great show. I just have a comment about that.
We say, you're welcome.
Here's my own perspective.
To those of you who haven't used it yet, we ask, what are you waiting for?
Mike in Burnsville.
Oh, hell no.
Click the microphone right next to the Listen Live button and record your thoughts whenever you want.
And that's it. Thank you.
Exclusively on the Odyssey app for News Talk 830 WCCO.
If only there was an easy guide to follow to sell your home for thousands of dollars more than you otherwise could. Oh, wait, there is. Hey, it's Vanita. You've been hearing me talk about my buddy, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Those home sellers forums that I've told you about that really work. Scott and Renee went to one and followed John's blueprint for success. There are 5 different marketing options for you to choose from, and all of them work. Scott and Renee really benefited from them. Their home sold for more than $10,000 over the asking price. Trusting the John Schuster Group was the right decision for them. He knows what he's doing. His team, they know what they're doing. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000. Online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay is my go-to. They've got millions of parts guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
So what are your thoughts on the new year? Maybe healthier living, more sleep, less pain? Jordana here. My friends at Mini Leaf are hoping for the same things, and they are delivering with their awesome CBD products. They are helping to destigmatize CBD all over Minnesota with Mini Leaf products. I use so many of them. The Sleep Night Gummies, I absolutely love. The Triple Diamond Pain Cream for pain anywhere, all over your body, really, truly works. Check them out, MINNELEAF.com. Minnesota's home of its best legal products. These products are third-party tested and 100% natural. This is your year to live pain-free, to have better sleep, to live a healthier life. MiniLeaf.com. Tell them Jordana sent you.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at MiniLeaf.com.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Crosstown westbound near Cedar Avenue, crash moved off to the right shoulder, no longer blocking, but it is creating the slowdowns there. South 169, Anderson Lakes Parkway, accident affecting the left lane, still has things jammed up in that stretch, especially as you come down from 494. South 35W, that's free-flowing, 494 all the way down to the split in Burnsville. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
The face of Minnesota veterans is changing. For the Centennial Year celebration, DAV of Minnesota invites you to join the ongoing effort to fulfill promises made to the men and women who served our great state and nation. Donate today at davmn.org.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather is brought to you by DAV of Minnesota. Let's get the latest on our chilly weather from Chris Schaefer.
Dangerously cold for the next couple of days. In fact, an extreme cold warning in place tonight. Actual air temperature falls back to 17 below by tomorrow morning. But with the wind, it could feel like 35 to 45 below, meaning Frostbite is possible on exposed skin in less than 10 minutes. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 2 up to 8 with sunshine on Wednesday. The warm-up comes this weekend. We might take a swing at 40 by Sunday.
Right now in Osseo, it is 2 below. It feels like it's 10 below. And I'm not going to tell you the current temperature here in Fort Myers. No, hit the button.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
We are live in Fort Myers here at Hammond Stadium. First day of spring training, total team activities. Hammond Stadium was rocking today. So many people with the chance to come in, walk around. They do this health fair that Lee County puts on. Lots of young people and young people out on the field as well. We are visiting with the newly promoted general manager of the Minnesota Twins, Jeremy Zell. And it is fun to see the young kids out here. I was talking to Royce Lewis in the locker room today. His cap had all these signatures from the kids. I'm like, Royce, what is going on? He's like, well, when kids would ask me to sign an autograph, I just got the idea to ask them to sign my cap, which that's really, I mean, you're focused on what players and how are we developing and how are things going. But like, ultimately, this is about great memories and family, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, really fun seeing the energy around the complex today and all the fans. My family's here, niece and nephew, running around, seeing the joy they get out of getting to take a picture with Byron Buxton, run around on the field during the kids' clinic. And that is what it's all about at the end of the day, as much as we, spend our time thinking about wins and losses to make memories for kids is really special for sure.
You mentioned your family. You're married and
Correct.
You have a little daughter.
Yep.
And how old?
She's about to be 17 months. So
17 months.
We're getting close to a year and a half, and then I can stop counting in months for a little while.
She's running around.
We just started walking a few weeks ago, and she was very confident today working her way around the complex. Got a lot of comments. She wasn't doing a great job staying in her own lane, but the fans were very friendly and let her pave her own path there. So she was having a great time.
It is like, I remember when my kids were little, you wanted them so badly to walk. And then when they walk, you're like, you know what? This isn't all it's cracked up to be. It was better, at least when I knew where these kids were all the time.
Absolutely. She was keeping us on our toes. And I was very far away from my wife, who had to call to catch up and locate us to navigate the day.
We were talking a little bit about the economics of baseball, and it's different from many other professional sports. Baseball, really, what you make in your local market controls your destiny more. And we're a mid-market team. We don't have the TV revenue. This year's the first year where the Twins are doing their own thing on the broadcast. When you're trying to build the team, how do you go about that? Is it a Moneyball thing? Is it like trying to get the bargain, get the dinged up guy who's got one more go in him? Or is it how do you approach that? Because you can't change the underlying economics of baseball.
Yeah, totally. I think from our perspective, we recognize that for us to be really competitive year in and year out, we're going to have to nail scouting and player development. And scouting is amateur scouting, it's international scouting, and it's professional scouting. But be really good at the blocking and tackling there, and to get really good outcomes, to have a young core that can constantly be entering into our major league group and impacting the major league team, which is something that we think we have right now and continuing to push along. But it requires us to be willing to take chances and take risks in the minor leagues. We're trying to catch these like 95th, 99th percentile outcomes for players. They want to chase those outcomes too. But we're trying to push velo programs and command programs and new pitch design things and bat speed programs, so on and so forth, all with the eyes on how do we capture as much value as possible within our own organization.
If you could add one piece to this lineup, what would it be?
That's a good question. I think at this point, we're feeling like between that versatility and star power at the top with Correa and Buck and Royce, like we're feeling like we're in a really good spot. You're always, if you have the ability to impact, add
money's
another
no
impact
object,
bat.
Jeremy. I'm giving you all the money you can handle. What would you want?
If you have the ability, anytime you can add another impact bat, regardless of position, that feels like a great thing to be able to do, lengthen the lineup and so on and so forth.
Our friend Dan Hayes would like you to add a right-handed power hitter.
Okay. Well, we tried with Ty France as a starting point, but we'll keep talking to Dan.
Does he get the
along
power?
the way.
Does he get the power, you think?
I don't know if it's
We'll
up
see.
to Dan's standards, but
mean,
he was hitting in a pitcher-friendly park for a while here. So we'll see. I think his home run totals will have a chance to be higher. But anyways,
we'll take that, right? We'll take it. Yeah.
So anytime you have the ability to lengthen the lineup, you would love to be able to do that for sure.
Pitching, obviously, you never know what's going to happen with health, but on paper right now, both the starting lineup and the bullpen looks pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely. Rocco emphasized it first day of pitchers and catchers to the group. He said, guys, we have a chance to be the best pitching staff in all of baseball. And I'm not just saying that. This is a special group that we have. And you start with Pablo Lopez and you work your way down with Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober, and then really a wealth of pitchers behind those guys with Paddock and Festa and Woods Richardson and Zebby Matthews and some of the young guys that are in camp this year. That's a really, really deep group. Pete Mackey, our pitching coach, was talking about it, that, last year when he was making the pitching groups for spring training, we really had 6 starters. And this year when he was making them, we had 12. And that's a testament to depth and guys taking steps forward and all those things. And then the bullpen between Duran and Jax locking down the late innings, Brock Stewart coming back from shoulder surgery. Cole Sands had an awesome year, big step forward. You keep going down. We talked about Kulam at the beginning of the show here on from a left-handed relief perspective, and a few other guys too. Like that's a group that you feel like can be really helpful to just lock down the game when the starter gives them the ball. So I'm feeling good there.
Jeremy Zoll is the general manager of the Twins. Do you get to have any fun while you're down here? You've got your family here. I mean, are you eating seafood? Like, what are you doing?
We try to get down to Naples for a few dinners along the way. I don't know if you have any recommendations, but Osteria Tulia is always a hot spot down in Naples for us. So that's usually in the cards for a dinner or two. And on an off day, we'll see if we can catch some sunshine in some capacity, but it's a lot of work, but the work is fun for sure.
Jeremy, we appreciate the time today. Thanks so much. Good luck this year.
Thanks for having me on.
It's got to
really
feel good,
it.
like to have the big job now.
It's exciting.
Right?
It's exciting. We're excited about the year. Excited to get these guys fully rolling in games soon enough and have the year rolling.
All right. I'm sorry for calling you a nerd.
That's okay. I forgive you. We got through it.
Jeremy Zoll, the general manager of the Minnesota Twins. It's 3:44. We are live at spring training here on CCO, Lee County, Florida. We will be back with the latest. We're also continuing to monitor the breaking news, of course. The plane that left Minneapolis earlier this morning, flipping over when it landed in Toronto. The latest from CBS News is now that 15 people were taken to the hospital after that crash. 1 child, 2 adults critically injured. The rest of the injuries are minor to moderate, which is truly remarkable when you consider that this plane, looking at the photos and the videos from the scene, is straight up flipped over on its top. More to come as we continue here on Drive Time.
Drive Time with DeRusha is live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
All right, no doubt as a Minnesotan, maybe you've got spring break coming up. Maybe you're a snowbird taking that trip to spend some time in the sun. You need to take care of your skin. It's Jason here for my friends, my skincare expert, Tureen Dermatology. My dermatologist is Dr. Mohiba Tureen, and I have a family history of skin cancer. You may as well, probably. I mean, so many Minnesotans have that family history. Maybe it was skin cancer. Maybe it was melanoma. Our state, you think of Minnesota, you're like, it's not exactly sun country. 1 out of 3 we're in one of the 3 top states for new melanoma diagnosis. Melanoma is serious business. You don't want to mess around with it. It can be the kind of skin cancer that can spread, and then you've got serious problems. You want it to be detected early, and that's where Tureen Dermatology comes into play. I bring my wife there. I bring my kids there. They treat all skin conditions, all skin colors, and the best thing is that they'll get you in there within 3 weeks. So many dermatologists, you try to make an appointment, they're like, well, we can get you in July. Forget it. Go to TureenDermatology.com, TAREEN dermatology.com. They'll get you in within 3 weeks.
Imagine placing an investment or trade without fear. Knowing that big institutions have taken the same trade as you, pushing the price higher, which only they can do. You get to ride the wave of institutional demand. If not, your plan will protect you from the downside. This is how our students are taught to invest in trade. Right now, you can sign up for a free investing class where we'll outline our strategy for following the smart money. Text investing to 210-210. We'll also review strategies for growing a retirement portfolio, how professionals profit when stocks are falling, and how to protect your investments against inflation. With a 25-year history, local classrooms, and one-on-one support, you're not alone. And now it's your turn. Sign up for a free investing class today. Text investing to 210-210 or go to learnwithota.com.
Support a healthy heart, just like the thousands that are turning to Peak Organic Fermented Beets, the ultimate nitric oxide booster for energy, circulation, and endurance. Just one delicious scoop a day. Supports healthy blood flow, powering your workouts, mental clarity, and heart health. Plus, it's organic, non-GMO, and tastes great. Join their 90-day Peak Beets challenge by visiting peakbeetsradio.com and feel the difference for yourself. Get one free jar, plus an extra $10 listener discount when you get started today. Visit peakbeetsradio.com to learn more. That's peakbeetsradio.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Crosstown westbound near Cedar Crash has been taken care of. Things running a little bit smoother through the area. Traveling south 169, got a crash at Anderson Lakes Parkway. For the most part, off the left side there onto the shoulder, but the slowdown's place coming down from 494. Crosstown eastbound, got some slowing there. Tracy Avenue over to Valley View. 394 eastbound, slowing into downtown Minneapolis past Dunwoody. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Are you ready to love your water? With Kinetico's on-demand efficiency, you'll enjoy softer skin, cleaner laundry, and dishes that sparkle. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com and save up to 25%.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
All right, the weather is very cold, and it's going to be dangerously cold tomorrow morning. We are under an extreme cold warning and a severe weather advisory and all the advisories. All of it under effect. So many schools have canceled already for tomorrow, and it's going to be cold all week. Yeah, it doesn't get better until the weekend. Tomorrow, the high is 2. When you wake up, it'll be 11 below. Wednesday, the high is 8. It'll be in the 20s by Friday, so it's getting better. Right now in Minneapolis, it's 3 below 0. Feels like 10 below on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training. Presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company and sunny Fort Myers.
Saturday Night Live is one of those shows that is so polarizing. Everybody loves to talk about how it's not funny anymore. And perhaps it was never fully funny, right? Even the early years, when you're doing a 90-minute long live show, some of it's going to bomb. You know, a lot of it's going to bomb. But last night was a reminder of just how linked to our popular culture Saturday Night Live is. They had the SNL 50 special last night, which, Dan, you watched, I watched. I'm sure a lot of you guys watched as well.
Yeah.
A lot of it was not great, but seeing the stars and remembering how many of those characters and how many of those catchphrases, I think each little chunk of cast sort of defines a different generation. As you were old enough to stay up to watch Saturday Night Live. Like, those are those moments. I don't know what the moments are for the generation today because they just stream everything. But I remember being old enough to stay up and watch Johnny Carson. And then I was old enough to watch Letterman. Whoa, that was late.
Yep.
And then you'd be old enough to stay up all the way through Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, sort of rites of passage as you were growing up, for sure.
And those catchphrases were the things we would joke about with friends at school after SNL. Let's play a little bit of this Adam Sandler song that he made. You know, Adam Sandler, is the Hanukkah song one of his greatest contributions to comedy and society? I think so.
It's on the list for sure.
I think it's on the list.
The Lunch Lady song, obviously.
The
we
Lunch
used a little bit of that earlier. And then his tribute to Chris Farley when Chris passed. Musical tribute to Chris was just absolutely heart-wrenching. And so for him to be a part of this was great.
Let's listen to a little Adam Sandler.
Everyone in this room has something in common. All of our lives were changed by the show. Everyone in this room has something else in common. None of us were allowed to use the little bathroom in Lorne's office. 50 years. 50 years. Saturday Night Live's been on for 50 years. 50 years of your sketch killing at read-through, then finding out they didn't pick it because the host didn't want to take off his shirt. 50 years of Tuesday late-night pizza. 35 years of Pepto-Bismol from Nurse Teresa. Yeah, baby. 50 years of the cast looking straight at the cue cards. And 30 years of drunk Wally holding the cue cards upside down.
It was very funny.
Atta baby, Wally!
All the inside jokes, of course, for the cast members. But as you look at all of these members, I mean, who was, for you, Dan, like, what was, like, the character of the skit that was like, this was it?
It probably was Mike Myers, and it was a host of characters that he did. You know, obviously Wayne and Wayne's World, and then Linda, the talk show host who showed up last night. I always thought was a hilarious character. Coffee talk amongst yourselves.
I mean, all these things became catchphrases.
Yeah,
we were doing all of our impressions of that.
And then Dana Carvey, obviously, too, would be the other name.
Dana Carvey for me. Yeah.
I mean, you know,
that George W. Bush impression.
Bush, the church lady.
Church lady.
So many different things. The broccoli song.
We were saying, isn't that special?
Right.
For years.
There's people that were saying that having no idea where it even came from. It was just so ubiquitous in the culture. So,
I mean, that's the big point that I came away with last night. Phil Hartman for me also.
Absolutely.
And I still like sort of the commercial spoofs they do.
Yep.
I wish I were half as clever with some of the spoofs that we do. That was formative for me. Those characters.
And I think a lot of it still is. I mean, up through Will Ferrell and, you know, even the current cast members.
I think the cast right now is pretty good.
Pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of really, talented people still working there. And yeah, like you said earlier, not everything's going to be a hit, and some people get rubbed the wrong way. Some MAGA folks were not happy about some of the things that they were teased at over last night with the Tom Hanks character,
which is a recurring character, and also Trump fans. Part of the beauty of the right wing in this party is historically the right wing has been less of the snowflakes in being offended. But my gosh, They love to play the media is mean to us bit.
Right.
Like, enough.
Their insults are great, but insults coming back at
It's
them.
New York. It's New York.
You got to be able to laugh
You know
at
what
yourself
it's
a little
going to
bit.
be. You know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I
thought it was great. Like to your point, not all the sketches last night, were comic genius or were executed
when you're
well.
trying to jam a million stars.
That's just it. But it wasn't
right?
about the execution of the skits or the actual writing of the sketches so much as it was having all of those stars, just one after the other on stage. And you remember quickly just how, like you said, how impactful this show has been on culture over the last half century and still is.
Pretty good stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed it last night. It should have been on at 10:30 until midnight, though.
I mean,
it would have.
You could have done that.
I mean, those stars today, I don't know. Like, some of those guys can't stay up that late, right? I mean, maybe that's the issue. We got lots more coming up from spring training. I don't want to rub it in. It is 78 and sunny right now.
We can rub it in a little bit.
Lindsey Brown back at the station, keeping it together for us. Lindsey, it's 78 and sunny here.
Good for you.
I mean, the sky's a little bright. It's a little hard on the eyes.
We've got Bailey Ober and Canada booing the anthem. Is it time to stop it? Coming up.
Tune in, take part. Don't just be a spectator. Get in on the discussion. The CCO Talk and Text Line, 651-461-9226. For News Talk 830 WCCO.
Many times, patients have symptoms they didn't know were actually related to their airway breathing issues.
I was suffering from sinus issues, jaw issues, and neck pain. I guess I just kind of had my breaking point.
Unfortunately, this is typical. But until you get to the root of your problem, it's going to just persist. Fortunately, Jody took action, and the results were typical as well.
My quality of life is so different. But one of the first things that I noticed was my breathing. I don't ever remember being able to breathe like that.
Being able to breathe freely is life-changing, and the effects can go beyond that.
Sleeping better, having more energy. And it seemed as if all of those symptoms that I had just melted away.
And thank heavens for that, because at Advent, results are what drive us, helping you breathe well so you can live better.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Paid for by government. Now is the time to fill your vault with Morgan Silver Bars. Grab your piece of America's silver legacy with this special offer. These spectacular shining silver bars featuring a crisp image of the iconic Morgan Silver Dollar, a legendary coin that has captivated collectors for generations. Call now to secure 1-ounce silver bars minted in 99.9% pure silver and made in the USA. Don't miss out on this special deal. Regularly priced at $49.95, but for a limited time, only $39.95. Save $10 per silver bar. Limit of 25 bars per customer. The more you buy, the more you save. Up to $250 in savings and free shipping on every order. Plus, with qualifying orders, you'll receive a free Morgan Silver Dollar. That's a $59.95 value free. Call 1-800-386-7195 now to secure your 1-ounce Morgan Silver Bars for only $39.95. That's 1-800-386-7195.
We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
News Talk 830 WCCO KMNB HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Expected post-landing twist at Toronto's Lester Pearson International Airport.
We just landed. Our plane crashed. It's upside down.
He was one of 80 people aboard Delta Connection Flight 4819 from Minneapolis, which flipped over as it landed in Toronto. The wings and tail section were torn off. Medical officials tell CBS News 15 people have been hospitalized. A child and 2 adults are in critical condition. Correspondent Chris Mavridis is in Toronto. He says winter weather there may have been a factor.
The conditions at the time of the crash were very windy, and with 2 feet of fresh snow on the ground here in Toronto, it's made for blinding visibility at times. A lot of flights had been delayed earlier in the day because of 40-mile-an-hour gusts. The airport here has issued a full ground stop. That means no takeoffs, and all incoming flights have been diverted.
American and Canadian investigators will try to find out exactly what went wrong. Former NTSB Chair Robert Sumwalt is a CBS News aviation safety analyst.
Transportation Safety Board of Canada does an excellent job, and the NTSB will be invited in as an accredited representative since it is a U.S. registered airplane and U.S. operated airplane.
In this country, it's President's Day, and opponents, Donald Trump, are protesting the thousands of layoff notices that have gone out to federal employees.
Demonstrators across all 50 states are participating in the 50-51 movement.
50 states, 50 protests one day.
Organizer Glo Sahai says they're rallying specifically against
the actions that Elon Musk and Donald Trump have taken, and we are requesting also for the reinstatement of DEI protection.
She says the movement has gotten big.
There are leaders everywhere taking action, organizing in their communities.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
Kentucky is trying to move forward after weekend rain and flooding that killed 11 people. Governor Andy Beshear says they won't have to do it alone.
Whatever I can do, the rest of the United States is going to stand with you here in Eastern Kentucky to make sure we get this job done.
Snow is coming there and to the northern plains, where many places report temperatures well below zero. U.S. and Russian representatives are in Saudi Arabia to talk about ending the war that Moscow started with Ukraine. BBC's Steve Rosenberg in Moscow.
There is a confidence here, certainly, that the Trump White House is ready to do a deal to end the war in Ukraine, a deal that would benefit Moscow, and a deal that might cut out Europe too, and that would suit Moscow just fine.
This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly clear, 3 below zero, feeling like 20 below with the wind. And it's not yet clear if snowy, windy weather played a part after a Delta flight from Minneapolis to Toronto this afternoon ended up flipping upside down while trying to land. Part of the plane caught fire and its wings and tail were ripped off in the process. Authorities say as many as 15 of the 80 on board were injured, 3 of them critically, including a child. Pete Muntean is an aviation correspondent for CNN.
Imagine being in a commercial flight coming in on what was presumably a good approach. It looked okay from the flight tracking data, and then being in an upside down, dark airplane that is on fire. And so you have to respond very quickly, not only as the passenger, but also as the flight crew.
Investigators remain on the scene. Meteorologists in the area say there was blowing snow in Toronto and winds were gusting as high as 37 miles per hour at the time of the incident. Murder charges are now filed against 5 people in New York State following the death of a transgender man from Minnesota. Investigators say 24-year-old Sam Nordquist was tortured and abused for weeks before his death. Ontario County District Attorney Jim Ritz.
We will work, and we will work tirelessly. We will continue to work with our partners in law enforcement to make sure this investigation moves and that we move forward appropriately so that the family can have closure. We know that this is just the start.
Investigators say there's no indication this was a hate crime, and all 5 suspects are members of the LGBTQ+ community. A 16-year-old is in custody in the fatal shooting of a man in Austin, Minnesota, Saturday afternoon. Police say another man was injured in the incident. No charges have been filed, and a motive for the shooting is unclear. A number of metro area schools announcing this afternoon that tomorrow will be a remote learning day due to the extreme cold. As we hunch our way through this coldest week of the winter, a reminder of the very serious and dangerous effects of frostbite, where skin freezes and can become permanently damaged.
Very preventable. And you just have to take the appropriate precautions. Minnesotans, we feel like we're immune to this cold. You kind of get used to it and kind of inured to the effects of it. But you can't underestimate how severe it can be.
HCMC Emergency Room Dr. Thomas Masters telling WCCO TV you can't underestimate how severe frostbite can be. He says when the weather is this cold, it can even cause permanent disabilities. A bill headed for the Minnesota House floor could halt construction on the Metro Transit LRT Blue Line extension into the North Metro. The $3 billion project would extend the line from Target Field Station in downtown Minneapolis to Brooklyn Park, with several stops in between. 2019. It is still in the design phase. Republican Representative Kristen Robbins' bill would bar the Met Council from spending any more money on light rail projects until the Southwest Green Line extension is complete.
We should be considering bus rapid transit before we think about another mile of rail in light rail in this state. Bus rapid transit is flexible, it's much more affordable, it meets the needs of the communities.
Met Council officials say any delays on the Blue Line extension will add $100 million per year to construction costs. WCCO News Time is 4:06.
On CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Update brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Shop in store or online. South 169, Anderson Lakes Parkway, crash still working off the left side. Still the slowdowns as well as you come down from 494. Cedar South flowing nicely, 494 to Highway 13. Eastbound 94 is make way toward Highway 280. Use caution. You've got a crash working there. Traffic is slow as you come past Franklin Avenue. East 394, some slowing into downtown Minneapolis past Dunwoody. Save on seafood staples at Whole Foods Market. Get 25% off select raw shrimp with Prime through February 18th. Cook and tell pink and tender, add to a creamy pasta or savory rice ball. While supplies last, shop in store online. Terms apply. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Gutman Law, wills, trusts, and probate law at gutmanlaw.com. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Tomorrow morning will be even colder than this morning. The National Weather Service has an extreme cold warning out. It could feel like 40 to 45 below with any wind. Actual air temperature tonight, 17 below. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high of 2. Up to 8 on Wednesday. There's no snow in the forecast. We should hit the 20s by Friday, up into the 30s this weekend.
Right now, it's mostly clear, 3 below, feeling like 20 below at News Talk 830 WCCO.
It's smart to listen to your smart speakers. Tell Alexa to play News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's drive time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise.
I'm super excited to introduce to you
Jason DeRusha.
You know, where are we on wind chill? You guys are in the thick of it back there in the Twin Cities. Laura just said it feels like it's 20 below. It is currently 3 below.
I think the wind chill here is just fine.
Does 20 below feel any different than 3 below?
Yes.
Does it?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think it does.
It's all pretty miserable, isn't it?
I mean, neither is good, but I think 20 below is significantly worse.
I'm a wind chill skeptic. Feels like. They don't even call it wind chill anymore. It feels like whatever that means. Yeah. We get it. It's freaking cold where you are. We are live at Fort Myers, Florida. 2 years ago when we came down here, I think we got 18 inches of snow back in the Twin Cities.
I was close to 20,
And now you guys are stuck with an absolutely miserable cold week. If you want to see what it looks like here in Fort Myers, I've put a live picture up of Hammond Stadium. Maybe that'll warm you up. You can kind of envision what it would be what it would feel like at a nice, warm, sunny Florida day.
Maybe feel some warmth come through the internet there. Watch the Twins crack grounds crew staff out there doing their work. I haven't seen. Have they had the Roomba lawnmower?
No, I haven't seen the Roomba lawnmower. Maybe. Oh no, there it goes. It's over there. I'm just. I don't know. I feel like and these are my feelings.
Here they come.
But I feel like wind chill is a tool of big weather to try to make it seem more dramatic than it is. To any normal human who does not live in Minnesota, if you said it is currently 3 below zero, they would say, My God, how do you live there? And for us, we need to like one up it by like, well, you know, it actually feels like 20 below. Like, who cares? Who cares?
I think especially somebody that spends as much time downtown as you do would appreciate the fact that when it is just cold but calm,
yeah,
you can deal with that to a certain degree. But as soon as that wind hits you, even with all your layers, even with all the stuff, when the wind hits you, it's a different deal altogether.
We will have more spring training coverage coming up in our 4:30 half hour. Bailey Ober,
yes,
Twins pitcher, on the mound today, throwing live batting practice for the first time this spring training. He will join us to share some thoughts.
We will have to post that video someplace too, because you really truly don't appreciate what an enormous human being Bailey Ober is until you're standing next to him. And you're sitting there holding a microphone, looking up at what would otherwise be the ceiling, but is actually just looking at Bailey Ober.
I am of normal height, like 5'10", 5'9", in there.
Yeah.
He's 6'9".
Yes.
Full foot. He's got a full foot on me.
He's a large human being.
So that's coming up at 4:30. You know, I was thinking about the national anthem today because this weekend, as part of the Four Nations hockey tournament, once again, Canada booed our national anthem. And I will say, like, my initial feeling about our kind of tariff fight with Canada is how silly it is for us to be going after our friend. Canada is probably our closest ally. We share a border. We share so much in terms of commerce going back and forth. We have people crossing the border all the time. What I now find myself thinking, if these Canadians react to the mere threat of a tariff by booing our national anthem, maybe they deserve a tariff. Maybe we should stick them with a tariff because maybe they're not so nice. Maybe they're not the friends we thought they were. And then I started thinking about the anthem. We should stop playing the national anthem at every single sporting event in this country and around the world. 651-461-9226. It is time to stop playing the anthem everywhere. I think we should make it special. We should play the anthem on opening day of every season. You should play it on holidays like the 4th of July or President's Day or whatever. You want to make a special moment out of it, fine. The fact that they play a crappy tape recording of a marching band when you go to like a high school track meet has turned this into a absolutely throwaway moment, except when someone decides to make a protest out of it, whether you're booing it, whether you're kneeling to make your point, as Colin Kaepernick did. I think it is time to knock it off. We didn't always do this. We do not need to play the national anthem at every single sporting event. 651-461-9226. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you like it when we play the anthem. I just think it's time to get rid of it, Dan.
And I understand that sentiment. I like it personally. I like having the anthem played at sporting events because for me, it's about the only time you get to hear the anthem. And I do think it's a period of time. I know it's how I use it anyway, is to pause and remind myself how fortunate I am to be a citizen of this country and to be able to do things like attend sporting events, or in our case, you know, as we're work at sporting events. And for me, if it wasn't played there, I don't know when else people are going to hear it. I don't know when else people are going to have the opportunity to have that moment. I also like the fact, especially at professional games, obviously it's not so much the case, you know, at the younger levels, but at professional games, this is a chance for fans and for other people to be part of the event, you know, singing the anthem, playing the anthem, whether it's the kids' choirs, whatever it is. Those are big deals for the people that get to do that. And I'd hate to see them lose that opportunity as well.
Timothy on YouTube asking, when did Jason turn anti-American? It's a fair question.
Very fair question.
It's a fair question.
for
I
sure.
thank you for being the first to ask it. That is a good reminder that we are streaming on YouTube and you can comment We see your comments. You just find us right at YouTube and search WCCO Radio or youtube.com/WCCO Radio. We can stream there. I just think it's become very much throwaway. So I can look at this with the most positive viewpoint. The most positive viewpoint is exactly what you're saying. In our society, there are very few moments where we can all come together and remember that we are part of a great country. And we have incredible opportunities and incredible freedoms because of that country. And I will tell you that I think 1 out of 40,000 people at a typical sporting event is actually thinking about it. That in general, it's just become part of the routine. Oh, better. Oh, got to take my hat off.
Okay,
it's
but
just part of the routine. If you're at the concession stand, you're at the concession stand. It's just become like this sort of culture flashpoint where people are looking for, oh, well, here, this person didn't take their hat off, or this person didn't put their hand behind their heart, like the controversy over the ABC Good Morning America guy. Who's on the Fox football pregame show, where this picture of him is shown. Strahan didn't have his hand on his heart. Yeah. I just don't see the point. I think we've cheapened the specialness of it by doing it so often.
I hear you. I think, even if one person out of the 40,000 is thinking about it, that's one more than it's thinking about it any other time.
Yeah.
And so that, I think the ability to create moments. Now, I go back to the first Gulf War, right? And remember the anthem, it was at Chicago Stadium.
Yes.
And everybody was literally cheering the entire way through, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's one out of how many times the anthem gets played. But there's so many different times where there's very, very special moments that happen in the singing of the anthem. Marvin Gaye back at the NBA All-Star game. So many, Whitney Houston singing it before the Super Bowl.
Bring it back for the big game. Have it for the big games. Have it for Armed Services Day. Have it if you're going to have a flyover. Have it if you're going to honor the veterans. It just doesn't need to be every day. Texters at 651-461-9226. Very good. You people are wonderful. Jason, no national anthem, no handshakes after the game. What do you want to end next? Texter, I tear up every time I hear the national anthem played at games. I guess I still believe in our nation. I get that. Look, I tear up often at the anthem as well. Like I get it. I get where you're coming from. I just think most people are not paying attention, and it's a nothing moment. And I think we just play it too often. It's sort of I think we're maybe cheapening it a little bit. Let's go to Jeannie. Jeannie's on the CCO Talk and Text line, 651-461-9226. Thanks for calling in, Jeannie. Go ahead.
Hey, I just really think that this is emblematic that we live in the best country on earth. And as a former social studies teacher, I'm just appalled that you would even suggest this. And it's just emblematic of just the disrespect of everyone who has gone before, who's taking care, who has lost a limb. I mean, when the guy standing up at the parade, when the American flag goes by, is the guy in the wheelchair and everybody else is sitting on their behind, I got a real problem with that.
Now, Jeannie, do you think we were disrespecting America in the 1970s when we didn't play the anthem at all the games? This is a relatively new development since the 80s that we've done it.
And maybe we realized that we needed to do it. Maybe there were things that happened in the 80s when people weren't thinking. Remember what era the 70s was and how people just, that was their thing, was to not appreciate America. And I think, when you talk about just a bad tape recorder being played, maybe what we should do is empower and encourage the people who are coordinating those events to give these young kids who would think this is the coolest thing on earth that I can sing the national anthem, an opportunity to do that. Because if we don't give them that opportunity and the praise for doing it, we're missing out on a great opportunity to just teach people respect and honor. And that doesn't mean we can't argue about what's happening in the country, But it's
No, I hear what you're, Jeannie. I appreciate the call. I appreciate where you're coming from, because for sure, like this idea of taking a moment to recognize that we're at a great country, I'm down with that. I agree with that. But I think it's been cheapened, the fact that we play it at every single thing. Wouldn't it be more special and more meaningful if we picked our moments? Let's talk to Joe. Joe is with us on the CCO Talk and Text line. Joe, thanks for calling in. Go ahead.
Hey, Jason, remember the Metrodome?
I do.
So remember how it was kind of separated from the field and you could walk around the concourse and you were away from it.
Yep.
So you're away from the national anthem when they were doing it.
True.
So that's what I grew up with. I used to work there for a period of time. And anyway, in that era, I went down to Kansas City to watch the Twins beat up on the Royals. And their stadium was not set up that way. And they were playing the national anthem, and the people we were with, we were walking around, as we would normally, as though it wasn't going on, oblivious that everyone else was being respectful and looking at the televised flag and all that.
Just weren't trained
so
that way,
guy,
right?
Yeah, well, one guy called me out. He said, "Hey, Minnesota fans or Twins fans," and we looked, and he said, "Take your hat off and respect." And we did. We complied, and when it was done, I wanted to turn around and tip my head to him to let him know, he was in the right and I was in the wrong. He was gone. He didn't wait around and see that I cared, but I feel that that kind of represented a disrespect that I didn't intend to do.
Yeah.
And, that kind of stuck with me. I remember that all these years later, and I feel that losing the song, making it a regular thing. I get where you're coming from, but I think if it was to be gone, I don't think that moments like that would happen.
Interesting. Really good. Thank you. I appreciate the call, Joe. We got a break. Lots of people calling in, lots of texts. We'll do more as we continue. There are some people who agree with me. It's just more, I get to talk a lot. So when you disagree, we like to hear from you as well. 651-461-9226. Drive Time coming back on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training. Presented by the islands and beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company and sunny Fort Myers.
All right, I love being here in Fort Myers, here around the Minnesota Twins, to talk about Chris Lindahl, because Lindahl, a huge Twins supporter. You see the billboard, guaranteed Twins win, right by Target Field. It's Jason here for my friend, Chris Lindahl. And there are times in life, and I mean it, he is my friend. I've known Chris for a long time. He helped my wife and I as we were looking for a house last year, in fact. But when you go to chrislindahl.com, you're going to start a process that will help you sell your home quickly. Now, sometimes people want to wait. You want to update. You want to spend money. Maybe you're somebody who loves having open houses. Maybe you love having your neighbors traipse through your house and go through your medicine cabinet, because that is what they're doing. You know it is. But maybe you need to sell your house quickly. You got to sell it right now. Maybe there's been a change in your family, perhaps a divorce or a job change. All sorts of circumstances lead to where you need to sell right now. The guaranteed cash offer is how. You got to move. They're going to get you the best offer in the business, and you are done. No stress. Just let Chris Lindahl take care of it. Visit my friend's website. Go see him at chrislindahl.com.
At Metro Heating and Cooling, we offer the highest quality products at comfort zone pricing. We won't try to sell you what you don't need. Metro Heating and Cooling and Plumbing. Honest, reliable, and affordable. Metro Heating and Cooling. MetroHeating.com.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
Hey, Twins fans, it's time for spring training in Fort Myers. Cheer on your favorite team at Hammond Stadium within the Lee Health Sports Complex. Then explore the islands, beaches, and neighborhoods of Fort Myers between games. Sink your toes into white sand, discover lush nature preserves filled with wildlife, and dine on fresh Gulf seafood. Turning your love of baseball into a relaxing vacation just feels right. Start planning at visitfortmyers.com.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Drive Time with DeRusha is live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
We're talking about the national anthem. I have said I still want the anthem at sporting events. I think it should be reserved for more special occasions. Start of the season, big military commemorations, what have you. 651-461-9226. Pretty much, I would say, like, Dan, if you had to put percentage of people, who's on my side and who's against me, it's like 30-70. Am I overstating?
70 against you, 34.
Correct.
That's, I mean, I might have gone 75-25, but yeah, that's pretty close.
I agree with you, says a texter. Doing it at every baseball game and every single sporting event just makes it mean nothing. It's like, imagine if every day at lunch you sang happy birthday. It wouldn't mean anything anymore. Another texter says, I can't believe you would say this. Sad, sickening, take away history. No, thank you. I'm appalled. I mean, I'm not
really taking away history.
Really taking away history. It's still there. The history is still there. Let's go to David on the CCO Talk and Text line. David, thanks for calling in. What do you think?
Well, I went to many, many hockey games with my stepdad, Rick. And halfway through all those years, all of a sudden, the national anthem came on. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I hear, hat! And everybody looks. And the one guy that had his hat on, he looks at him and he says, take your hat off. And I thought we were going to be dueling and fighting and everything else, but everything was okay. And, you know, he was a veteran and he respected that and everything was fine, but it was funny how all of a sudden he just reacted. But it's been 10 years from then. And I look for it now every time I go to a hockey game.
Yeah. Yeah. You notice the hat.
I want to be the person that says hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's respectful. And I think it's something that has to be done at every game. I don't care. You know, I wish they shook hands after every game.
Yeah.
You know, just like high school, just like, you know, Little League. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's respect.
I like it. Thank you. Thank you for the call. Let's go to John. John, you're up next. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Jason. How you doing?
I'm great.
Good. Say, I'm with you. I understand where you're coming from on that. Now, the thing is what I was thinking, I think it's overkill as well. But the thing I have about it is anytime that we get the opportunity to remember our country and remember all the people that serve for us, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, and we got rid of the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, you probably remember saying it all the time, and kids don't say it in school anymore. So this is just another way to forget about our country if we stop doing the things that we're used to doing.
I just wonder if we played it less often, if it would be more impactful, if people would notice it more, if it would be more of a moment. But I get what you're saying. If you take it away, here's the issue. Here's me arguing against my suggestion.
Oh, I love it when you do this.
Because if you take it away, it does send a message that we care less about it, right? Like there's the practicality of doing this. If you remove it, how does that not send a message also? Even though I think removing it would increase the importance and the noteworthy of it
down the line.
I do think we could maybe lessen it though at like, I'm sorry, like junior high, we don't need like the track meet to start with the national anthem. Like some of that stuff I think is like, I get it. It's like the grade school sort of mimicking what they see at the high school level, but or at the professional level. But I think it's a little too much. That's all.
Which is cool for the kids. They want to be like the people they
you want the public address announcer and the big thing. Thanks, John. Let's give Eric a chance. Eric, you are on CCO.
Hi. This doesn't really address your question or your what you're
That's all right. I only like 20% address what I'm talking about at any given time, so it's all good. Go ahead.
This is something I remember when I was a little kid. I went to a North Stars game up at the old Met Center, and they were playing the Vancouver Canucks when they used to wear the Halloween uniforms. And it was during the Iran hostage crisis, and Canada had just helped some of our hostages escape.
Yep.
And we played the Canadian national anthem at the Met, and we cheered through the entire Canadian national anthem.
Right. No, I mean this is a very specific thing going on, right? It's the suggestion that Canada become the 51st state, like we're going to take them over. It's the tariffs. It's all the stuff. I personally, I think for Canadians, I understand why they're reacting the way they are. I think it's a little disrespectful. It's a disrespectful way to express like their disgust with a Trump proposal. But if I lived in Canada and another country was seriously suggesting I become the 51st state, like I might want to kind of give the middle finger to their national anthem too. So I kind of get it,
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for listening and for calling in. I appreciate it. Lots of great feedback. Lots of great text as well. Another texter saying, as a veteran, I 100% agree. We overplay the national anthem way too much. It's stupid and embarrassing, especially when it's an awful presentation. Appreciate everybody. I love America. Just to be clear, I love this country.
Do you? Do you really?
It's not the biggest issue in the world, right? There are lots of bigger issues.
It's in the news because of the way that what's been happening at the four nations. And it'll be interesting to see, Thursday night now we know that the final is set in Boston. It'll be the United States and Canada in a rematch for the Four Nations title. And it'll be interesting to see what the Boston's fans choose to do with the Canadian national anthem. Are they going to respond? I think that's very possible. Are they going to just cheer through the American anthem? I don't know. It'll be an interesting something to watch.
Very good. All right, 4:34 is our time. We have lots more show coming up live from Fort Myers, Florida. We're a little late. We should take a break. When we come back, let's hear from one of our Minnesota Twin starting pitchers, Bailey Ober, expecting a big season for Bailey. We'll hear from him in just a minute here on Drive Time.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
At News Talk 830 WCCO, we don't just read the news, we take you into the storm before it hits.
This could be the biggest winter storm we've seen all season.
We're there as heroes rise to meet the moment.
Get everyone clear, now!
And we pull back the curtain where questions demand answers.
Governor, can you comment on the latest fraud case?
We give you a front row seat to the world. News Talk 830 WCCO. Don't just hear the news, experience it.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Hyatt Centric Downtown Minneapolis Hotel, the lifestyle hotel in the heart of Minneapolis, where the historic Minneapolis Athletic Club meets the urban chic Hyatt Centric. Enjoy your favorite sporting event, concert, or maybe a relaxing getaway downtown. With 154 spacious rooms, you can book with confidence that there's a room to fit your needs. Enjoy a drink at the 615 Bar and Lounge, or work out in the 7,000 square foot fitness center with indoor track. For more, go to HyattCentricDowntownMinneapolis.com.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
We're speaking with UCare's Albert Reed. Can you tell me what the difference is in Original Medicare, Medicare Advantage, and Medicare Supplement plans?
So Original Medicare is your basic foundation. It's comprised of two parts. That's going to be Medicare Part A, which is hospital coverage, and then Part B, which is the medical coverage. Medicare itself is designed to cover about 80% of your overall medical costs with no out-of-pocket limit. And then you have your Medicare supplement plans. They're designed to help cover the other 20% that Medicare leaves off. Great for folks that want to pay one monthly cost and ensure that their costs are covered for medical. And then lastly, there's Medicare Advantage plans will combine all the benefits of Part A and Part B and likely will include Part D.
Okay, so why UCare?
We're friendly. We have a local customer service available 7 days a week. We do have a large dedicated broker network that's willing to take all the time needed to help you find the right plan to secure your long-term health.
For more, contact a local broker and visit ucare.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-656-1551. That's 800-656-1551. 800-656-1551.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
94 eastbound near Highway 280 accident into the left lane just cleared out a few minutes ago. Traffic a bit tight yet as you come in from Franklin Avenue, but it is loosening rather quickly. If you're going to be traveling 394, looking good both directions between Minnetonka and Minneapolis, crosstown westbound, some slowing in Midway past Penn Avenue, heading up toward France Avenue. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
In its centennial year, the DAV of Minnesota remains dedicated to helping thousands of veterans access the benefits they've earned. And you can make a difference. Volunteer to transport veterans, advocate for improved programs, or donate today at davmn.org.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather brought to you by DAV of Minnesota. Here is WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Dangerously cold for the next couple of days. In fact, an extreme cold warning in place tonight. Actual air temperature falls back to 17 below by tomorrow morning. But with the wind, it could feel like 35 to 45 below, meaning Frostbite is possible on exposed skin in less than 10 minutes. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 2 up to 8 with sunshine on Wednesday. The warm-up comes this weekend. We might take a swing at 40 by Sunday.
40 will feel nice, certainly compared to right now where it is 2 below in Maple Grove. Feels like 11 below on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
We are live at Minnesota Twins Spring Training. I hate, and I do genuinely feel badly for our friends in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. It is so cold. So cold. School districts all throughout the area are canceling school for tomorrow, which again, well, I don't want to ignite that tinderbox. I just went after the national anthem. I'm not going after the schools.
You're on a roll. Let's go.
No, I'm not doing that. We'll save that for 5:20. I'm going to, or maybe 5:10. I'll bring that up. But, you know, I mean, why? If you're so worried about your kid at the bus stop,
drive him to school.
Yes, or don't send him to the bus. Like, keep your kid home. Like, why are we canceling school? I don't know. Ugh, drives me crazy. I'm just mad that Sam is sitting home annoying my wife tomorrow instead of going to dang school.
Yeah.
All right. We are at a different kind of education here in Fort Myers, Florida. It is spring training, and this afternoon, for the first time, we saw Bailey Ober on the mound, throwing live batting practice, tossing to Carlos, talking to Buck. Bailey Ober is an imposing force, but he also is a very gentle guy and a dad. He's got 4 kids, and we talked to him about that as well. I asked him earlier today about what career he would choose if he wasn't in baseball, and his answer, it surprised me. I think it'll surprise you too. Bailey was key to last year's starting lineup. 18 quality starts is the stat from last summer, and he's going to be key to this team achieving success this year. Here's our conversation from the clubhouse with Twins pitcher Bailey Ober. Bailey, you got the ball in the hand already, right? You're ready to go?
Oh, yeah. Feeling good. I've been down here for a little while now, so it feels good to have the entire squad here today and get everything rolling.
When you're here before the official start, what are you doing?
It's kind of the same schedule, to be honest with you. Like, all the pitchers are primarily down here a little bit early, just that we can get acclimated to the weather and being outside every day. But yeah, just going through our routine and kind of staying on the same schedule. The only thing that's a little bit different is that we'll be adding in like team defense and kind of those types of things in all the meetings.
You're on the schedule today to throw. What is that different when you get the first time out there? There's some people in the stands, or is it just still the same for you?
It's kind of the same, just because I've been here, done it a little bit now, and just kind of going out there and getting my work in and trying to get better and try to work on some stuff while I'm out there.
The staying healthy is key, right? How is the off season? What kind of things have you been doing to make sure you're ready to go?
Yeah, I've been feeling good. Just kind of mixing in different types of aerobic exercises, trying to build capacity up that way. And also in the weight room, just doing a little bit of different exercises to try to build capacity so you can last the whole season, 162 games, and be able to pitch and be fresh in October.
Is the off season do you get to have some fun and eat like a normal human, or are you still on like athlete eating plan year round?
You get a little bit of a break. So I feel like I like to cook. So when I'm home, I get to make kind of whatever I'm feeling like it. And most of the time it's good food. I'm not making too much of unhealthy stuff, but,
what's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh, it's a tough question. I don't know. I made a really good salmon dish last night. It's like a garlic butter cream sauce with spinach over some salmon is really good. Some penne alla vodka, really good.
Do you cook for family, or who do you cook for?
Yeah, so
Are they down here?
Not yet, but I cooked for Randy and his wife last night. But my family will be here in a couple days.
That's cool to have them down here, right? Like, because during the season, you don't get to see them as much.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be up with me during the season, but like you said, we're traveling a lot, and half the time of the day, I'm at the field. So
tell everybody about your family. You have how many kids?
I have 4 kids. Yep,
how old?
5-year-old, 4-year-old, and twins that are 2.
So this is like vacation for you.
A little bit, yeah. Just getting in work vacation, yeah.
Do you miss them though?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah,
do you like FaceTime, or how do you stay in touch?
Yeah, we FaceTime a few times a day and text, and I'll call them and talk on the phone, and they're ready to get down here.
If you weren't playing baseball, what would you do?
That's a good question. Probably something in the business side of the world. Maybe try to work my way up in front office in any sport, or maybe try to run my own type of business.
What's your sport? Your other sport to watch or to geek out about?
Probably football and golf.
Yeah. There's a lot of cooks on this pitching staff. It's kind of interesting.
I know. I think I'm the best though.
That's. I mean, I wasn't going to say anything, but Sivy Woods Richardson thinks he's a pretty good cook.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had anything from his, so maybe we'll have to try something out.
We need like a twins cook-off here. Like, it's very good. Sure. All right, Bailey, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, excellent. Thanks, man. Bailey Ober, his family is beautiful. Those little kids and his wife, hanging out at Target Field for sure. And a lot of the players have their families down here as well, Dan, and it's like a little bit of a vacation for them, but it's also, frankly, the last like kind of real quality time they all get to spend as a family before you get into the season. Yeah. It's a game, but it's a job, and so it can be really challenging, especially on the spouses or girlfriends or whatever the case may be. Is there, imagine a job where your partner is out of town for half of the time and for long stretches too.
It's a job, and it's a job obviously for which these guys are very, very well compensated. Right. And so nobody's trying to feel sorry for them, but there's certain realities to it. And one of the realities, like you said, is there's a lot of time spent on the road. And so to have a place like this, one of the great things about Hammond Stadium and many spring training facilities is the kind of access that even just the average fan has. But for families, you get to have the kids running around, and we saw how many different kids in the clubhouse and, in the back there. And there's plenty of time that the kids get to come out on the fields with dad and have some time there. And so that's really special. I can't imagine. Think about it as being a little kid and you're roaming around a Major League Baseball clubhouse, and probably, the real young ones don't have any realization of what that is and what that means, but they will later in life. They'll think back to those times and realize how special that was and how cool it was to be able to spend that time with their dad. And so, it's the Twins, like many organizations, really do emphasize that family time and getting that time, because once you get into the meat of the season, that there's something missing there. So
no doubt about it. All right, we're going to break. We appreciate Bailey Ober and the time he spent with us. You can follow us live all week when we're down here in Fort Myers. We'll be sharing video on Instagram, on WCCO Radio's Instagram, but we're streaming our show live on YouTube and Facebook,
and we're sending as many warm thoughts back to the Twin Cities as we can. Yes.
It's all we can do. When we come back, Dan and I will update you on the latest that we know about that Delta flight that left the Twin Cities at about 11:30 this morning, and when it arrived in Toronto, Canada, it landed and then it flipped. We don't know what happened. We'll tell you what we do know in just a minute here on Drive Time.
Drive Time with DeRusha is live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
We interrupt this broadcast for an automotive alert. Right now, purchase the stylish 2025 Buick Encore GX all-wheel drive for just $23,990 with no payments for 90 days if you're currently not a GM vehicle owner. That's right, a 2025 all-wheel drive Buick Encore GX for just $23,990 if you currently own a 2011 or newer non-GM vehicle. Why buy used when you can buy new for less at McCarthy Auto World and McCarthyAutoWorld.com. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. See dealer for details.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
If only there was an easy guide to follow to sell your home for thousands of dollars more than you otherwise could. Oh, wait, there is. Hey, it's Vanita. You've been hearing me talk about my buddy, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Those home sellers forums that I've told you about that really work. Scott and Renee went to one and followed John's blueprint for success. There are 5 different marketing options for you to choose from, and all of them work. Scott and Renee really benefited from them. Their home sold for more than $10,000 over the asking price. Trusting the John Schuster Group was the right decision for them. He knows what he's doing. His team, they know what they're doing. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000. Online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
It's like being trapped in a cage. And I know that sounds dramatic, but your breathing triangle problem has got you trapped. And once you're freed, you're going to be able to live the life that you're missing out on. Now, this can simply mean experiencing the true pleasure of breathing freely. It will mean better sleep and more energy. And the worry of this problem any more affecting your life is going to be gone. Because in almost every case, when Advent has solved a breathing triangle problem, it's a one and done. Because we're not in the business of delivering Band-Aids. We want to fix your nasal breathing problem for good. We don't want you to be a lifelong patient. We want you to be our next success story.
Isn't it time you break free from that cage? Take the next step. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
For the most part, things looking pretty good as cruise the system. Some slowing crosstown eastbound, Valley View heading up towards Cedar Avenue. Traveling South 35W looking good right out of Minneapolis as you head down to Highway 62. Same story, South 35E. St. Paul heading down to 494, speeds holding at the posted. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
I use it. It works for me, and I am thrilled to be able to share the information with you. Jordana Green here, and yes, I'm talking about CBD.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather brought to you by Mini Leaf, the home of Minnesota's best legal products. And it's cold. It is going to be cold much of the week. Chris Schaefer's forecast has you under that extreme cold warning until 10 tomorrow morning. It includes the metro. Tonight, our low is 17 below. Air temperature. Tomorrow, the high is 2. So it's going to be brutal early tomorrow morning. Wednesday, we only get up to 8. We'll be in the 20s by Friday, 30s this weekend. No snow, so we have that going for us. But right now, in St. Paul, it is 2 below. The winds make it feel like 19 below on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training. Presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company and sunny Fort Myers.
So we're continuing to cover the breaking news of that Delta Flight 4819 that left the Twin Cities this morning and arrived in Toronto about 2:15 this afternoon, 1:15 Twin Cities time. Delta, within the last 10 minutes, said 18 people with injuries went to the hospital. The AP is now saying 19 people. 3 are in critical condition. I imagine a number of people are getting checked out right after you're in a plane that ends up on its roof. At this point, we have no real answers from Delta's statement that just came out 10 minutes ago as far as what happened. But we do know from meteorologists in Canada that the winds were really whipping at the time of the crash, gusting up to 38 miles an hour. Now, 29-mile-an-hour winds, we've all landed in that before, right? But Toronto had drifting snow, and they had a pretty major snowstorm over the weekend. They're trying to catch up, right? Because all of the flights delayed. Endeavor Air operated this plane. Endeavor is based in Minneapolis. It's owned by Delta. 76 seats for passengers, so it appeared to be a full flight, and then 4 crew members. So that's how they get to the 83 in critical condition. But that's what we know about the human factor. It is amazing to watch this video, Dan, as you see people walking away from this plane that's on its roof. It's not a giant jet. It's a typical regional jet, but it's wild. In
an odd way, and I want to be delicate about this, but it reminds me in an odd way of the 35W bridge collapse, in those moments right after it collapsed and you first saw the video. I mean, I know, us in the studio, one of our first thoughts were thinking about numbers of people that were going to end up being killed in all this. And it wasn't anywhere near that amount of folks. Thank God. I mean, sorry to lose the ones that we lost, but it just, that there was as many people walking away from this plane, to me, is utterly remarkable.
So we'll get the latest from CBS News at the top of the hour, but the airport is open again. Delta canceled all their flights into the airport tonight, sort of understandably, as they try to deal with the fact that probably a lot of Minneapolis, a lot of Minnesota people were on that flight, and what a story those folks are going to have to tell for sure. Just craziness. CBS coming up.
No to the sorrow, no to the pain. I walked in the night to the sidewalk without a sound, lit by the street lights.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
You're at home. MerrittChev.com. You need a vehicle. MerrittChev.com. Wherever you are. MerrittChev.com. Shop in the comfort of your home on MerrittChev.com, where all their prices are clearly marked for their all new and used vehicles. It's like a virtual test drive. Merritt Chevrolet is the full service real deal with sales, service, body shop, and parts. Just off Century and I-94, or you guessed it, MerrittChev.com. Merritt Chevrolet, the dealership right in your backyard. Together, let's drive. See dealer for details.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-885-1010. 800-885-1010. Again, that's 800-885-1010.
The news you need from the station you trust. News Talk 830 WCCO 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm Peter King. All 80 passengers and crew members have survived after a Delta commuter jet flying from Minneapolis landed, then flipped in Toronto. Correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
Wings and tail ripped off. The nose landing gear still in place. The Toronto Pearson Airport had gotten a significant amount of snow over the last week. In fact, over the weekend, they were working quite hard to clear. It had been about 7 inches of snow.
Wind may have been a factor, but former NTSB Vice Chair Bruce Landsberg says there are other possibilities.
If there was a landing gear, either malfunction or damage to the gear as a result of a hard landing, this can all cause the aircraft to go out of control. It is remarkable, given the circumstances, that everyone got out.
Officials say 15 people were taken to hospitals. 3 were critically hurt. President's Day protests in all 50 states have shown some of the anger that accompanies the massive layoff of federal employees.
No one voted for Elon Musk.
The protesters demanded Congress stand up to the president.
Hey, Congress, throw a spine.
They said many members of Congress are letting Trump just do what he wants.
We are here to make sure that those in the building in front of you know that we hold them to their oaths, which so many have broken.
Christopher Cruz, CBS News, Washington.
Kentucky is bracing for snow and bone-chilling weather coming after catastrophic flooding this past weekend. Governor Andy Beshear.
Have this much rain in this many parts of the state. Several of our rivers crested to the highest point they ever have. Several of our cities like Frankfurt and Bowling Green got the most rain that they ever had in a short period of time.
11 people have died. Beshear says some rivers have yet to crest. Winter storm and freezing temperature warnings are up in the northern plains. Cindy is a cashier at a truck stop in Bismarck, North Dakota. She says locals are used to it.
Take it easy. Make sure your vehicles are all plugged in and warm and extra clothes, and don't go out in the wind if we don't have to.
It's minus 12 in Bismarck. The forecast low for tonight, 36 below zero. U.S. and Russian officials start talking tomorrow about a possible end to the war that Russia started in Ukraine nearly 3 years ago. European and Ukrainian officials have been left out of the process, and while they're angry about that, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the UK wants to help.
I'm prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground alongside others if there is a lasting peace agreement.
But he says European governments must have a say in what happens next. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly clear, 3 below zero, feeling like 22 below at 5:03. I'm Laura Oakes. And as you've been hearing on CBS News, investigators still on the scene after a regional jet from Minneapolis to Toronto crashed as it was landing this afternoon. All 80 people on board have been accounted for, and at least 15 passengers are being treated for injuries at nearby hospitals. 3 are in critical condition, including a young child. CBS News reporter Chris Mavridis is near the scene.
We're told 15 people on board this flight have been transported to local area hospitals, including 3 that were airlifted to trauma centers in Toronto, about 15 miles away. Amazingly, the airport authority here says that all 80 passengers and crew on board have been accounted for, which is surprising looking at this plane.
It's not yet clear if snowy, windy weather played a part in that crash. Part of the plane caught fire and its wings and tail were ripped off in the process. The city of Minneapolis reminding residents it will be dangerously cold tonight with feels like temperatures in the 40 below range. They're asking people to limit time outside, check on their family and neighbors, and call 311 or 911 if they have no or low heat. Many schools have also called off in-person classes for tomorrow and will be relying on remote learning instead. Frostbite, a very real concern when it's this cold, with experts saying it can set in to expose skin within even just 5 minutes, depending on temperature and wind conditions. HCMC Emergency Room Dr. Thomas Masters speaking with WCCO TV.
You can't underestimate how severe it can be and how deadly this weather can potentially be and life-limiting and cause permanent disabilities.
Experts say it's important to dress in layers and cover exposed skin as much as possible. Fingers, toes, ears, and the tip of the nose are most susceptible to frostbite. New York prosecutors have filed murder charges against 5 people in the death of a Minnesota man.
This is by far the worst homicide investigation that our office has ever been a part of.
Ontario County District Attorney Jim Ritz says 24-year-old Sam Nordquist, a transgender man from Minnesota, was tortured and abused for weeks before his death. Nordquist's remains were found in a field on February 13th, about 50 miles southeast of Rochester, New York. 5 people ranging in age from 19 to 38 years old are charged with second-degree murder. Nordquist's mother, Linda, visited upstate New York over the weekend.
They can rot. They are scum. They are evil. I don't know how somebody could be that evil. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but it's some type of hate crime.
Mark Fry, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Investigators in the case say there's no indication Nordquist's murder was a hate crime. Authorities say all 5 suspects are members of the LGBTQ plus community. Candlelight vigils are planned tonight in the Twin Cities, and a GoFundMe has been set up for Nordquist's family. That information can be found on our website, WCCOradio.com. And WCCO News Time is 5:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Whole Foods Market, shop in store, online. Things pretty quiet right now for the time being. Traveling crosstown eastbound, some congestion, 35W over to Cedar Avenue. Cedar South looking good. Crosstown all the way into Apple Valleys. Northbound 35 East looking good, 94 to 694. Shop premium protein at Whole Foods Market. Get no antibiotics ever. 90% lean ground beef for $6.99 per pound with Prime through February 18th. It's the perfect versatile protein for simple weeknight dinners. While supplies last, shop in store, online. Terms apply. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Tomorrow morning will be even colder than this morning. The National Weather Service has an extreme cold warning out. It could feel like 40 to 45 below with any wind. Actual air temperature tonight, 17 below. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high of 2. Up to 8 on Wednesday. There's no snow in the forecast. We should hit the 20s by Friday, up into the 30s this weekend.
Mostly clear right now, 3 below at News Talk 830 WCCO.
The big questions are asked and answered here. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
You're watching the cool, brainwashing 12-year-old and younger station that hides behind a slick image. We're so cool that we decide what's cool. And now, here's your host,
Jason DeRusha.
We are live in Florida. Fort Myers, Florida, at Minnesota Twins spring training, which got underway today. Jason, Dan, Laura keeping you up to date on a very busy news day here in the Twin Cities. And there's a lot to talk about live from Hammond Stadium. So let's get right to it. It is time for the DeRush Hour news headlines. And we begin with the lead. And our lead story has to be what in the heck is going on with air travel. We know when there are a bunch of events that happen in succession, we know in our heads that this is a coincidence. And yet, in a country that almost never has issues with air travel, it is astonishing to have the number of problems in succession. The latest just this afternoon in Toronto, where a Delta flight, which left Minneapolis an hour late this morning, arrived in Toronto at about 1:15. Something went wrong when it hit the runway, such that the plane ended up completely on its roof, flipped 180 degrees, flipped over. How did it happen? Nobody knows at this point, or at least nobody's saying. The number of injured, the number of people who went to the hospital keeps going up. We're up to 18 for the latest report from Delta, 3 in critical condition. Most astonishingly, people walked off that plane carrying their carry-ons. Imagine you've got your seatbelt on. You've probably just turned your phone off from airplane mode. Your email starts filling up, your text messages, and all of a sudden, whoomp, the plane goes flying. A reminder to keep your seatbelt fastened for sure until you get to the gate, but also a reminder of the fragility of our system. It was January 29th when that Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with an American jet that was trying to land at Reagan National. 67 people killed in that incident. 2 days later, a small single engine medical plane with 6 people on it crashes in Northeast Philadelphia. Everybody on board dead, 1 person on the ground. It has been a stretch of sort of questions, right? Do we have the right people working in air traffic control? An issue that President Donald Trump raised immediately after this Black Hawk helicopter collided with a regional jet. At this point, there has been no evidence to indicate, at least nothing publicly shared, that DEI might have something to do with staffing or with the way things went down that night. At this point, it'll be the Canadians in charge of this investigation. But because the plane came out of Minneapolis, because it is a plane operated by a Minneapolis-based subsidiary, there already have been statements from Minnesota's elected officials that they're monitoring. I will be curious if people do, even though we know our brain says it's still incredibly safe to fly, the heart certainly is alarmed by this recent kind of likely coincidental. These things have nothing to do with each other. But that also doesn't prevent people from being nervous about flying.
No, and it does create an opportunity to re-examine safety and protocols. You know, what you talked about, that there's obviously no evidence of any kind of DEI link, but there is evidence that we didn't have enough people on duty. We know that that tower was short-staffed, and there was a controller doing the job of 2 people. And so always an opportunity to review that sort of thing. Also an opportunity in this case to be reminded of the quality of first responders that reacted to this situation. CNN reported about a medical helicopter that was in the area and reporting to the tower on what they were seeing as this plane had crashed. And they talked about them seeing fire. So we saw all the foam sprayed across this thing, but obviously with as many people that walked away from this as did, those first responders were there quickly and knew what to do and kept people safe. And you just have to tip your cap to all of them as well.
Such a great point, Dan. Time for story 2 in the lead here on the DRUSH Hour News headlines. And it is another day of wondering who is going to be running for the U.S. Senate seat that Senator Tina Smith announced on Thursday that she would not be running for re-election. The latest names to come in: Angie Craig. For my money, the most unheralded and most successful Democrat at a major capital M major elected office that she has run in the most contested U.S. House district in perhaps for sure in the state, perhaps in the Midwest. And she has won and won again and then won convincingly. Another name. Is he throwing himself in the mix? Is he not? A thoughtful and intriguing post from former state representative Pat Garofalo, who joins us now on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker hotline. Pat, thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me, Jason.
Are you running for U.S. Senate?
I don't know. The short answer is that
I love that answer. I love that. Yeah.
No, it's
you don't know.
I mean, why stop telling the truth now that I'm out of office, right? No, it's the reality is, I think I've been very vocal about the fact that I think Minnesota would be best served if we had a more pragmatic checkbook Democrat running on the Democratic side, someone who's more representative of the 80% of the center of our state than the the far left lunatic fringe. And then likewise on the Republican side, I think we're better off if Republicans have a nominee who's forward thinking on energy issues, who does have what I call libertarian tendencies on issues, someone who's been supportive of legalizing cannabis, who's voted for gay marriage, someone who's going to reject the more extremist elements of the Republican Party, you know, this Royce White guy who was the Republican nominee last year and has open child support payments and used his campaign account to pay for strippers. I don't think that wing of the party is really representative of where Minnesotans at. And I just think we're better off if we have two really good candidates running who are pragmatic, thoughtful, and forward thinking. And certainly that is described to both the Democrat and Republican sides. And on the Republican side, I'll be spending my time going out meeting with Republican activists, Republican groups, and sharing my message for what I call the Uber Republican or the Elon Musk Republican. Someone who wants to use technology to deliver government in a more effective manner, use technology to lower costs, provide better services, but also to get out there and root out what is an epidemic of fraud and waste in government, not just state government, but federal government. My background, it's not a coincidence that everything I just mentioned aligns with my views and my experience in technology and as a legislator. So we're going to go out and see if, go talk to the voters and see what they think about that. But there's certainly no reason it's February of 2023. There's no reason to hurry up and get involved and make a decision on that now.
Pat Garofalo joining us on the lead here in the DRush Hour News headlines. Does Angie Craig fit the mold for what you're talking about, a more moderate wing Democrat?
Yeah, I think so. I think Angie Craig is represented, the 2nd Congressional District in the South Metro, and even though she's a DFLer, she's someone who's been willing to stand up to the more fringy parts of her party when the defund the police movement, took off in Minneapolis. Congresswoman Craig was one of the first Democrats to step forward and say that's not what she believed in. So certainly she definitely meets that criteria. And on the Republican side, I'm hoping we'll see candidates who are of that similar experience and mindset, who are willing to work with people on both sides of the aisle. And again, just invest Minnesota in what our strength is, and that is that in this state, we've done the reason why we've been successful historically is we've done a better job of cooperating together than other states. And we need to get back to those roots and abandon this sort of extreme left wing or right wing ideology that seems to dominate politics.
I do wonder, Pat, if the evidence from the last presidential election, as much as you and I share a vision that we want more moderate DFLers and fewer crazy Republicans, like the absolute out there. I want to have a real debate between Republicans who care about conservative principles and Democrats who care about, fighting for their economic vision of what they think is the best way to get things done. And yet, I wonder if the last election tells us that the real key to victory is just motivating more of your base to come out. The Democrats didn't really motivate the uber liberal, uber progressive wing of their party to come out, and they lost. I don't know if the moderate path is the path to victory these days.
Well, I have to disagree with you. What you described, that may be the case in some other states, but it's certainly not what happened here in Minnesota. In Minnesota, remember, the only legislative races that were on the ballot was the state legislature. Yeah. And that was the House of Representatives. There was no state Senate races on the ballot. And if you look going into the election, the Democrats had total control of Minnesota. And that trifecta of Democrat control got broken up. And the reason why it got broken up is if you look in a handful of competitive districts, there's a subset of voters that voted for Vice President Harris. They voted for Senator Klobuchar. And when they got down to the bottom of the ticket, the state representative race, they flipped over and they voted Republican.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
It was a simple repudiation of.
Yeah.
And again, these voters are not. These are not what you would call hardcore Republicans, right wing. They voted for Harris. They voted for Klobuchar. Right. But when they got to the state rep race, despite the fact that Democrats had a huge financial advantage in Minnesota, despite the fact that Governor Walz was running at the top of the ticket, there was a feeling among those subset of swing voters, independent voters, who vote for the candidate and the person, not the party. They flipped over and voted Republican, and that's why we once again have shared government in Minnesota. So I would fundamentally reject the premise that what you see in some other states is what happened in Minnesota. And the proof is in the election results we got.
Pat Garofalo, we appreciate the time. Former Republican elected official, now testing the water, seeing if he will end up running for U.S. Senate. Thanks, Pat. We appreciate it. It is 5:20. One more quick story to get to in the DeRush Hour news headline. Let's zoom over to spring training. It is so cold in Minnesota. I wanted to give you a taste of hope, a taste of spring, a taste of baseball as we are here in Fort Myers covering spring training. And there are so many people from Minnesota here at spring training. We wanted to give you a couple of those voices that we spoke with today. Let's start with Greg from Albert Lee. Greg, how's Bailey Ober looking out there?
He's looking good. He just started throwing. They're just having hitting practice right now, but I've been watching him for the workouts here past few days, and he's looking good.
I've never felt more like a midget than when I stand next to Bailey.
He's a big guy.
How's it feel to be here instead of in Albert Lee right now?
It's a whole lot warmer. And I enjoy baseball, so I've got the best of both worlds.
What is it? I mean, this is so, I don't know. There's something magical about being here this first week, right?
Yes, it's fun.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Greg from Albert Lee talking about being here at Hammond Stadium, experiencing Twins spring training. I also wanted to give you a little taste of, well, for those of you who haven't had little kids in a long time, please enjoy this moment as Robin from Minneapolis is doing her best to stay on top of William and Henry. Hi, guys. How are you? It's a crab? And what do you have?
I have a seahorse.
I love it. I love it. Who's your favorite Minnesota Twins player? Do you have a favorite?
No.
No.
Say all of them. No.
No.
Henry, say all of them.
He likes
Shohei Ohtani. That's a fair. I mean, I don't blame you. Like, I think we all like Shohei Ohtani.
Like astronauts?
No, I do not.
Not this year.
Are you glad you're not back at home in Minnesota right now?
No.
No, you wish you were home. I bet you guys don't wish you were home.
I do not wish we were home. It is negative 14 degrees in Minnesota.
Is it hard to not rub it in to the people back home?
Yes.
Post all those Facebook pictures.
Send pictures of the hot sun and, yes, swimming.
This is pretty fun, though, to watch. I mean, it's a unique experience to get this close to the players. And
Correct.
the whole deal.
Yeah. Very fun to watch them practice their pitching and their stretches.
I mean, it's not that different from like watching Little Leaguers warm up, is it?
Correct. Yes. Our son is going to be in baseball for the first time this year, so he will be excited to catch some of the skills they're doing.
It was pretty good.
Yes.
Excellent. What's your name?
Robin.
Robin, thank you.
Yeah.
Very what are the kids' names?
William and Henry.
William and Henry. Yeah. Good stuff. There you go. Nice crew, nice people. Good times out here at Twins spring training. Let's break. We'll come back with more of the DeRush Hour news headlines in just a minute. It is 5:23. We are live here at spring training. A little warmer than it is in the Twin Cities here on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training. Presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company and sunny Fort Myers.
Little dinner. I did get a pork dinner, and I got to tell you, the pork they have out here is not as good as that Minnesota pork we have back at home. It's Jason here for my friends in Minnesota, 3,000 family farmers. Doing their best work to take care of their animals, take care of their land, take care of their family. It is the Minnesota pig community. And this past couple weeks, they've really been honoring some of the great farmers for the work they've been doing to be sustainable, to be focused on the water and the soil. So many of our family farmers all over Minnesota are multi-generational farmers. So their dad farm, their mom farm, their grandma farm, whatever. And these farmers want to be able to pass their family farms on to the next generation. to do it, they got to take care of their animals and take care of the soil and take care of the water. So feel good about that. When you go to the grocery store tonight, please have some Minnesota pork for me. Okay. I'm so far away. I miss it. Go have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight. Oh, yeah.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology.
See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
You know, we've all gotten unsolicited cash offers for our homes. I get it. It can make moving less stressful. But if you go that route, there's a good chance you'll be leaving money on the table. Hey, it's Vanita. If you're thinking of selling and don't want the stress, call my buddy, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group Coldwell Banker Realty. Corinne just worked with John to sell a loved one's home. She wanted the convenience and she got it. John helped her. His marketing system helped get multiple offers for Corinne's home. All the attention led to her home selling for $30,000 over the asking, $75,000 more than that below market investor cash offer she originally got. Contact John for full details, 952-222-9000, online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN's birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. Visit NordVPN and discover the benefits. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Encrypt your online traffic. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN.
Drive Time with DeRusha is live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
528, we are live from Fort Myers, Florida. We continue to monitor the breaking news out of Toronto. There is supposed to be a news briefing in minutes talking about today's crash where a plane leaving Minneapolis, a Delta Airlines flight from Minneapolis to Toronto crashed upon landing and flipped that plane landing on its roof. At least 18 people ending up in the hospital, 3 people critically injured, last report from the authorities there. We're continuing to monitor all of this, and as soon as a briefing starts, if we can bring it to you, we will. Why don't we do this? Because we're standing by for that, and I don't want to cut off any developments. Let's put our page 2 of the DeRush Hour News headlines. Let's pause it for now, and why don't we break? Because I want to make sure we can get you that breaking news. Obviously, a flight from Minneapolis, plenty of people from here on that flight headed towards Toronto, and just an astonishing scene to see. We are starting to get audio from the air traffic controllers in Toronto on when that plane landed and crashed, and sort of the surprise with all of that going down. So let's break. And we'll come back with that news conference or with some of the developments as we learn them here on Drive Time with DeRusha.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers.
Hello, Neo. Do you know who this is?
WCCO?
Yes. I've been looking for you, Neo. They're coming for you, Neo, and I don't know what they're going to do.
Who's coming for me? Other radio stations?
Yes.
What do they want with me?
I don't know, but if you don't want to find out, I suggest you stay with News Talk 830.
Don't get caught on the radio matrix. Stay well informed and grounded right here. News Talk 830 WCCO.
So what are your thoughts on the new year? Maybe healthier living, more sleep, less pain? Jordana here. My friends at Mini Leaf are hoping for the same things, and they are delivering with their awesome CBD products. They are helping to destigmatize CBD all over Minnesota with Mini Leaf products. I use so many of them. The Sleep Night Gummies, I absolutely love. The Triple Diamond Pain Cream for pain anywhere, all over your body, really, truly works. Check them out, MINNELEAF.com. Minnesota's home of its best legal products. These products are third-party tested and 100% natural. This is your year to live pain-free, to have better sleep, to live a healthier life. MiniLeaf.com. Tell them Jordana sent you.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minileaf.com.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
We hear that a lot at Coit because over time your upholstery, tile, carpets, floors, air ducts, just about everything collects dirt. You just don't realize it until they're cleaned. Well, this week only, call 800-4COIT and get 40% off a Coit clean. That's 800-FORCOIT for 40% off all our cleaning services. Minimum charge applies. Discount doesn't apply to service charge, restoration, or commercial services. Restrictions apply. Call 800-4COIT for details.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow, thanks, Dad.
Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you, you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's let the engine do the talking, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code COUNT for 10% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Drive is good, nice and quiet out there as you cruise the system. North 169, not too bad. A ride has come up from Highway 62, making your way toward 694. If you're going to be traveling 494 northbound, not too bad as you come up from 55 toward the Fish Lake interchange. But we do have a crash being reported now, 94 westbound at Weaver Lake Road. Traffic a bit congested coming in from Hemlock Lane. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
More than 15,000 Minnesota students are part of the Wild About Reading program, encouraging students to read more using Minnesota Wild branded posters, reading logs, and bookmarks. It's all supported by Flint Hills Resources. Go to wild.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather is brought to you by Flint Hills Resources. They're teaming up with the Minnesota Wild on the student literacy program, Wild About Reading. Learn more at wild.com. Here's Chris Schaefer.
Dangerously cold for the next couple of days. In fact, an extreme cold warning in place tonight. Actual air temperature falls back to 17 below by tomorrow morning. But with the wind, it could feel like 35 to 45 below, meaning frostbite is possible on exposed skin in less than 10 minutes. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 2 up to 8 with sunshine on Wednesday. The warm-up comes this weekend. We might take a swing at 40 by Sunday.
It is so cold right now. In Woodbury, it is 4 below. Feels like it's 19 below just with that 8-mile-an-hour wind, really making that difference here on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha, live from Twins Spring Training, presented by the Islands and Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, and the Luminary Hotel and Company in sunny Fort Myers. He'll say what he thinks.
I hesitate to write them off after 4 games, but
Even when he isn't always right.
I'll once again admit that I was wrong. Shows you how much I know.
But that's what we love about him.
And I'm a Jersey snob.
The always entertaining and authentic Dave Schwartz now joins Jason for his weekly appearance on Drive Time with DeRusha.
Dave is with us here on CCO, and Dave, of course, will interrupt if there's an update from Toronto. What a crazy, I mean, you've seen the images. It's just absolutely crazy.
It is. It is. I'm once again, in fact, I was just having this conversation with my mother the other day that she said, I just keep seeing all these things. I said, yes, you have to remember though, there are thousands of flights every day that take off and land just fine. But still, there's certainly a magnifying glass, I think, right now around these types of things.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's something different about air travel, I think. It's the fact that, like, we perceive that, like, we have no control over that. Even though the car is so much more dangerous, but in the plane, you're like, if something goes wrong, like, my odds aren't great. You feel like in a car, like, maybe you have a shot, you know?
There's not a lot of tiny mistakes that can happen in the air, right? I mean, you can overcorrect a little bit on the road and be okay. But yes, it is. There is something magnified about it.
I'm going to keep my seatbelt fastened until I get to the gate. I'll tell you that much after looking at this.
You should be doing that anyway, though.
I do. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Dave Schwartz with us. All right. I enjoy hockey, but there is part of hockey that I don't understand, and it is.
Oh, Jason, go ahead.
It's the fights. It's the dumb fights.
You stop it.
I don't mind like the game's going. You get some. You're fired up about something, like, all right, emotions take over. But what about like right at the beginning when you drop the puck and now it's like time for like everybody to put on their dancing shoes and do like their pretend little fight? It's how is it different from wrestling?
Let me ask you a series of questions, okay?
Right,
and then I want you to answer honestly with these very quickly.
I will.
Do you love what the Pro Bowl has become?
Do I love what the Pro Bowl has become?
Do you like the Pro Bowl? Do you set viewing for the Pro Bowl?
No, I don't.
Okay. Were you dying to watch the NBA All-Star game last night?
I did not watch and I love basketball.
Okay.
Hard pass.
Did you watch the MLB All-Star game last year?
Yes.
Okay. My point is, those games mean nothing. And fans know that, and it's obvious.
It's true.
But we get to the Four Nations face-off now, and you have these players that this means so much to them, playing for their country and playing for this title, that they're taking 2 weeks off of the season to do this. And there's bad blood. I don't understand why people are upset about this. This is exactly what you want.
Well, I think the games have been tremendous. The whole thing around it has been tremendous. But the fact that when you drop the puck, then it's like all of a sudden everybody puts on their leotards and it's like Hulk Hogan, and it's just this scripted nonsense.
It wasn't scripted. It was.
Well, they had it scripted in their head, right? Like, let's go.
Kachuk, and I forget which Kachuk it was. I think it was Brady first, and the guy he fought. Like, there's some bad blood there from the season, so they couldn't wait to get an option. But your
argument is that like a fight is good because the Pro Bowl is boring. Like, I'm a little confused as to what we're doing.
Look at the rate. Canada and U.S. are going to play on Thursday.
Well, it would be just as good without the fight.
But are you going to watch that game on Thursday night?
Yes.
Would you have watched it if there wasn't the bad blood and figured out what happened on Saturday?
Yes, like the games have been so good.
They've been great. Then that's why. You make my point for me. Thank you.
I feel like I made the opposite point.
And we talked about this yesterday. I understand people who don't like fighting in hockey, and I get it. Does it send a bad message to some degree to younger players? Yes, but it's just not allowed at those levels anyway. So you just can't do it.
But
until you can get.
I know you're a hockey guy, but doesn't the whole thing make you laugh? Like the two refs, like skating around, like watching the show, and then when we hit the ice, and it's like, oh no, we can't do it. I know they're trained that way.
I just wish they'd let them go, because clearly these guys have an axe to grind. Let them get it out of their system.
Yeah.
But it like it or hate it, it is part of the game.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. I think it's strange.
And it
very
makes it a
strange
whole lot
that
more
it's
interesting.
allowed. Well,
And I
sure. If
guarantee
we
the
added
ratings are gonna
fights
be-
to every sport, it would make it more interesting. We love to see people pound on each other. Like, that is entertaining.
It has been since long before you and I.
I know. I'm not denying the entertainment value of it. I just think it's a little.
It's a part of the game, and most of these players who are playing right now have played international competitions before this, so there is a history with
Aren't
the
they not?
nations.
Are
and
they
with the
allowed to
players.
check? I thought they're not allowed to check in international play.
Oh, they're allowed to check.
What
they're
are-
not allowed
what-
to fight at the Olympics.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but you
What,
can
the-
check.
The Olympics. So boring. You take out the fights, who would even want to watch it? It's like the Pro Bowl. Blah. Dave Schwartz is with us. The only bad thing about the NBA All-Star Week, which the All-Star game we can get to in a minute, but with that being gone and with hockey having this 2-week hiatus, is that there's nothing going on, right? Like that is sort of strange that you got nothing for 2 weeks.
It usually happens in July after the Major League Baseball All-Star game, where there's like a week of nothingness. That was